Good evening, race fans. Pirate here, Black Flag Racing TV, and we are here for GTFusion Group B in the Honda NSX GT500. 15 years ago, a PS3 GT5 Prologue pack landed in the home of Emmerich and Pierre. They were the creators of GTFusion. The instruction in the household was clear. It will remain occasional and recreational. So far, nothing transcendent, you may say, except that the kid, in order to optimise his sessions, has the imperative idea to perform with his Portuguese, French and Belgian friends. At the time, infancy of online lounges and only have forums for social networks. So in 2008, finally, a movement was born. At the time, top 10 in the Super GT500 class was Loic Duval and Kazuyuki Haranacha, and they were in the 2008 Honda NSX GT500. And in honour of that, in the 15th year of GTFusion, that is the car that the pilots have to handle today. The car was used a lot because it was complex and very, very good around Suzuka. And so here we are. These are the pro drivers, and they're going to get in that car and throw it around a track for us today. So drivers are lining up in the lobby ready to go, and this is how the lobby looks today. This is Lounge 2, Group B of the Pro ELO based groups. The group this evening is hosted by Matthew from the EES Racing Team, Matthew 07 from Poland. Joining him on the racetrack today, Ozkan from Turkey, his teammate Zen from France, Bax from Poland, Bialy from Poland, also Superwa from Belgium, Red 92 from Italy, Mycin from Poland, Klavi Michael from Poland, who's our backup host in case anything goes horribly wrong, Pastina Calda from Italy, and last but by no means least, I'm Kia from also Poland. I'm assuming I've pronounced those correctly. The format is relatively simple. We have a short qualifying session, and that will set the grid for 7 laps of racing around Suzuka. That 7-lap race will then determine a reverse grid for the 15-lap feature race. Once those 2 races are complete, we'll have a short break, and during that break we'll analyse how the first couple of races went and that kind of thing. And then we'll do it all again. Quite high tyre settings, quite high fuel settings. It's going to be very much about tyre and fuel management. In qualifying, they're really only going to get 1 hot lap on the soft compound tyres. So in lap, qualify, out lap, which means they're only going to get a couple of opportunities to set the perfect lap. In terms of the track itself, we are here at Suzuka. Good evening, Jay. Good, nice that you join us. Complex track, Suzuka. Turn 1 and 2. It's a slowing corner, so you go in a lot faster than you exit. You are slowing down, trail braking through that corner. before you move into the S-curves at 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. That is all about throttle control, feathering that throttle, a little dab of brake here and there to get the car through, get the rotation around those S-curves before you exit 7 into Dunlop. You power through Dunlop down to turn 8, the Degner curve, which takes you into the first real big braking zone of the lap, which is turn 9, which is a sharp right-hander into turn 9. No, they haven't started yet, Jay. The lobby has just opened. Still practice going underway. I think probably about 15 minutes from qualifying based on what I've read. Yes, of course. Then you leave turn 9. You head down. Little kink at turn 10. Not really a turn because you're not braking through there. On the brakes for that big left-hand hairpin at 11 before you swoop round at full power round turn 12 into Spoon for 13, 14. Which is essentially a double apex left-hander. It's classed as 2 corners, but it's one kind of double apex corner. Your exit out of Spoon, turn 14, is absolute paramount because then you've got the longest straight of the racetrack, which takes you down over the bridge, which crosses over in this figure of 8 track, into turn 15, 180R, where you really need to... If you're getting a move done under slipstream between turns 14 and 15, you need to have it done before you hit a 180R because you cannot go side by side through there without the danger of one or both of you ending up in a wall. And with heavy damage here, you do not want to make that kind of error early on. Then you head down to the Casio triangle, 16 and 17, really slow through there before you swoop round turn 18 to complete your lap here at Suzuka. There's our runners and riders this evening. Looks like everybody we're expecting is in the room. We'll have a little look through. They're in the, of course, this awesome NSX GT500 2008, which of course is in honour of 2008 being the first year of GTFusion. This is the 15th season. It's hard to think. I think back 15 years ago. There was very little going on with online gaming, to be fair. It was certainly there, but it wasn't like it is today, an easily accessible thing. But we move on and we start this competition, and this opening weekend of GTFusion 2023 is 20 teams across 201 drivers across 20 teams from 21 different countries, making it one of the largest online sim racing team world competitions. It is absolutely massive, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how these pro groups perform. They are ranked based on their ELO, and that will be reassessed based on qualifying and positions in a couple of the races. But it's all about maximising your pace at every corner here. We've got some very, very high-end drivers in the group this evening, and fully expect to see some very, very close, very, very good racing. Car can be a little bit hot to handle. You need to make sure you're looking after the tyres. That is paramount here, looking after the tyres because of the hard tyre wear, and you want to make sure you're giving everything you can. Good evening, Philip. Lewis Cardamon, good evening everyone. Good luck for all fours at One Up Academy. Yes, and by Executive Projects, good luck. Good luck to everyone. Really looking forward to this race this evening. So really, we're just waiting for qualifying to begin. That is out of my hands. You'll basically just listen to me waffle around for a little bit while we wait and find out what sort of times I'm going to be chucking in. I fully expect to see qualifying times to be in the possibly sub 150. 150, 151 was the sort of lap times we were seeing yesterday from the Pro-Am groups. Fully expected. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a sub 40, sub 50, maybe even sub 49 qualifying lap. In terms of race pace, the low 51, 52s is what you'd expect to see on a regular basis. You will see them at some stage using the mediums and the hards are mandatory compound tyres, but don't be surprised to see all three tyre compounds used, particularly in the feature race. In terms of teams. So we've got 3 drivers from GTBE. That's Angzen, Ozcan, and Superboy. ATR Mysin and his teammate Clevy Michael. Both Polish drivers. Bax from GTPL. Sorry, he's an ATR driver as well, isn't he? He's just got a different tag. So another driver Bax from ATR. So 3 ATR drivers, 3 GTBE drivers. We've got the 2 EES drivers, Ian Matthew and I'm Carr. Very appropriate name for a driver. How are we doing? QFR. Forza ATR indeed. Looking forward to seeing what sort of pace ATR can chuck out. Do like the livery on that car. It's a very, very good looking livery on Clevy Michael Bax and my son's car. And Pastina Colada is Pastina Colada. Pastina Calda. Get it right. Pastina. How you doing, Pepe? DC team. Oh, that's what it stands for. DC team. Makes sense. DC team. Yes, just waiting for the host to call qualifying. I'll give you a quick reminder of what's going on at Black Flag Racing TV over the next week. We're back with some internal Black Flag events tomorrow for the Black Flag Gauntlet event. That is essentially, it's a new concept we're trying out, and it's proven to be incredibly popular. The car and the track and the settings are not announced. You just turn up and they are randomly generated. Little pasta soup. Okay, cool. Was that a reference to what you're eating? Yeah, so as I was saying, Gauntlet is all about, there's no opportunity to practice. We've got 4 different car classes on the random generator and every single track and a whole host of different settings. And what we do is we randomise it live on Black Flag Racing TV, and then we set the room up and then we go. And it's proved to be absolutely brilliant. We've had some really, really cool races, and we've had some people on podium you wouldn't expect, just by virtue of it being sort of fast and frenetic and a little bit different. Last week threw up brilliant race at the Nürburgring not Nürburgring GP, it was Nürburgring 24-hour track. Which was won eventually by Slipstream. Really, really good race there. So looking forward to that coming up tomorrow from 8 p.m. Tuesday we're back with some F1 action with the Smoking Pirellis first from 6:45. Round number 2 in their new season. And we move on to round number 5 with Late Night Racing. More F1 action from 9 p.m. tomorrow. Wednesday, quiet. No, it's not quiet day. What am I talking about? We're coming to the end of the Open GR3 Season 2, and we should be able to crown our champion this week. We hope. Touch wood. Maybe not. We'll see. That is live from 7:45 on Black Flag Racing TV Wednesday. Thursday, more F1 action with Smoking Pirellis for their Tier 1 group, which that will be again from 6:45. On Tuesday evening, and that will Thursday evening, and that will be followed by a Black Flag Racing News roundup. We've got a number of drivers out in different competitions, including Fusion, and congratulations to all the Black Flag drivers this weekend in their episodes in Fusion. I mean, Black Flag themselves, 14 podiums, 3 wins, and 4 top 3 qualifications. So absolutely awesome performance from them. And we'll talk a bit about that and how we got on in the GT Champions World Cup as well, which was last night in the early hours of the morning. In fact, I got to sleep at something around 5:30 this morning. So basically 12 hours ago was when that all finished, and I got a little bit of sleep. And then of course I'm back with you here. Friday we are back with Euro Trips F1. We missed the season finale last week due to me losing my voice, as many of you may know. But my voice has returned. Anyone wondering why I sound a bit squeaky, it's because I had lost my voice last week. And although it's returned somewhat, it's still not fully there. And I spent something like 6.5 hours yesterday, or 7 hours nearly broadcasting. So it's a bit sore and tender still. But that'll be Friday. And then Saturday, we've got we usually have our endurance event, but it's not on this weekend because we've got A team racing in the, I think it's 4 hours at Monza. A team of 4 drivers. We're looking forward to, or is it 6 hours at Monza? I can't remember. But looking forward to that. It's a team of 4 doing that on behalf of Black Flag. And then straight after that, of course, we've got the GT Champions Division 2 and Division 3 broadcasts back to back. Division 3 from 10 p.m. and then from half past midnight, UK time, of course. Half past midnight, it will be the Division 2, and that is at the Barcelona Circuit de Catalunya. Chicane bin, put in the bin and removed in the quite brilliant RS01 motorcar. And then that brings us back to next Sunday, where order is restored, and I will have a Sunday off and get to do a bit of racing myself. So 6-minute call until qualifying starts. That'll basically go off. So basically 6:15. So what will happen is the cars will qualify. We'll see where they all end up. That will set the grid for 7 laps around here, and I fully expect to see most drivers starting, they will qualify on the soft tyres, of course. Most drivers will start probably on the harder of the 2 compounds, because the medium compound really only viable for about 4 laps, maybe 5 laps before they start to go off. And you obviously want optimum performance for the whole run. So we're likely to see the use of hard tyres at some stage. They are mandatory, of course. Then the key is how long you can keep the medium tyres good and fresh to minimise how much time you need to spend on those less grippy hard compound tyres. It'd be interesting to see what sort of strategies people are employing. GTFusion is brought to you, of course, by Thrustmaster, Polywords, Print Alino. That's their sponsors. Black Flag Racing TV is presented by SimLeague Pro and Dubby Energy Drinks, and sponsored by Club Leaf, and of course Black Flag Racing Team. We could have a quick look. Let's have a quick look at the track and see what sort of times people are putting out in their practice sessions, shall we? Let's go and have a look at the practice. We can have a quick look at liveries, actually. That wouldn't be a bad idea. Let's do that. Let's have a look at the liveries. It obviously depends how long it goes on. I would like to join in if there is still a spot to race, but obviously Fusion comes first to get it done. So there's the ATI always going into the pits, just as he goes in. Very, very cool. That's the Executive Project livery, looking very, very cool. That's the Forza 1UP Academy, of course. Look at the 1UP Academy. That's the EES livery, as he dives into the pits. I can't let me see it. Just my luck. ATR Racing Team livery. I love the combination of the red, black and white. It's a very, very cool looking car. With some very, very cool sponsors on it. GTBE, very, very recognisable green livery of the GTBE team, which there are 3 drivers this evening. Executive Project, as we know, EES, GTBE, ATR. I think that's pretty much all of them. So far, it's 1:50.9 has been the quickest lap so far. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm assuming he's going slowly because he's means to, and that's not a technical problem. Good evening, DC Team GT Sport. Thanks for joining us. All right, 1 minute to qualifying. I love it, love it, love it. Come on, wait. And yeah, so Ozcan at the moment fastest man on the track, 1:50.9. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a sub 150 lap in qualifying. Certainly possible. If you get a really good slipstream on the run down to 130R and maintain that slipstream down the start-finish straight after you get out of the Casio triangle, very possibly we could be looking at a 149 high-ish be interesting to see if anyone can achieve that. There's a DCT driver, Pasadena. If I pronounce it right, DCT and GT Sport, if I pronounce it right, Pasadena. Be careful of hot laps, yeah, absolutely correct. Turn 1. Turn 1's always key in the race here, because it's not a huge run down to turn 1, but you want to just make sure you're keeping your eyes open and not making any silly moves into turn 1. You can go, we've seen a number of cars this weekend going 2 abreast into turn 1, but you have to have significant speed to be taking it around the outside in such a way. Right, so here we go. Lobby ready for qualifying. I think we are going to be underway pretty soon. Who's first to blink? We're actually doing online, an on board. So let's do it on board with, and it's going to be ES Matthew, our host, who's going to give us the perfect lap. That's the wrong maneuver, is it? There we are. That's the view that I want to have. So here we go, into the S as we go, and you can see, not putting too much pressure through the tyres at this stage. Pasadena is very funny, is he? He's got to tell me a joke at some stage then. Right, so here we are on board with Matthew through the S, as you can see. Then you swoop around this, and it's a long sweeping left-hander that takes you up to the first big braking zone of the lap, which is here. You've got this big right-hander coming up, and you just need to get on those anchors pretty early, get it turned in before you sweep under the bridge on this, and it's a very unique figure of 8 track. There's not many of them about. Next big braking zone is here. On that right hand side, when you get turned in, you've got this really big hairpin. You clip that apex, use all of the road on the way up, be careful not to overshoot and hit that grass. And then on the power again you go, and it just sweeps round this, it's a kind of like a sweeping right hander at full pelt. As you head up to the double apex at the top of the hill here. Getting changed down, you want to ensure you're better off scrubbing some speed off for the first turn, and giving yourself a much better entry and exit from the second as you head here into this very long straight. And this is where, with some slipstream and a really good exit, you can gain yourself a position or two. Seen a couple of really good overtakes this weekend, particularly down this straight. Head down now into this left-hander 30R, which takes you down to the Casio triangle. You can't go to abreast here. We've seen a couple of times people try it. It's gone horribly wrong, and we've seen people come and cropper. So if you are coming through here behind another car, you do what he does, and you ramp it up. You come round the line, and there we go. Matthew's going to set his first hot lap, crosses the line, and we'll see how well he gets on. We'll follow his progress, the Polish driver. So Ozcan from Turkey, we've got Matthew from Poland, Superboy from Belgium. I'm Car, my sim, Clavi Michael, all from Poland. We've got Pasadena from Italy and Red 92, also from Italy. And the other two drivers are Bax from Poland and Hang Zen from France. We're going to follow Matthew round. Ozcan's going to give us our first hot lap, just because he overtook Matthew during that slow phase. And it seems to be that people are really pushing it in their outlap. Because these soft tyres have very little life in them, you find that on the first outlap, they tend to be very conservative. Just leaving it, making sure they get some heat into the tyres and heat into the brakes, but not pushing too hard that they're scrubbing off too much of that rubber, because they need optimum grip for this hot lap. I think the first hot lap we're going to see, I don't think we're going to see much below a 151 initially, maybe just under 151. I'm sure that later on into the qualifying session we'll start to see them ramping it up a little bit. I think the thing to do in this first lap, in your first hot lap, is to put in a good lap but not over push the car. Make sure you get something on the board that if it does go wrong from this point on, you haven't completely failed qualifying. You've still got yourself a half decent time on that board. So Ozcan will cross the line first. He's just coming around that final turn, and Matthew coming through now. So 151.1 for Ozcan. That's a pretty decent lap to start with. 51.4 for Matthew. That puts him alongside Ocon on the front row. Superboy with a 51.7. Immediately drops down by Incar, or Imcar in fact, with a 51.4 for him. Mycin with a 51.9. All very, very close in terms of pace. Pastina can't be better than a 52.0. And Rosso, one up red at 92, that is, puts himself in 6th position. So pretty much everyone has set a hot lap, apart from Clevy Michaels in the pits right now. So, Zed with a 150.9, he is on pole. He's gone sub 51, the French driver, first one to do so. Good hot lap from him, good starting banker lap that is. Then Bax from Poland joins him on that front row. He's also gone 50.9. That is 4.5 hundredths of a second between those two drivers. 1/10 back to Ozcan, 51.1. First of the drivers that didn't go sub 51 in that first hot lap. Followed by Matthew, 3/10 slower with a 51.4. 300 separate him and his Polish compatriot Imcar with a 51.467 for him on row 3. And a red 92, the Italian driver, on joining him on that row 3 with a 151.5. Supermoe 007, just 2/10 back from red with a 51.7. Mice enjoys him on row 4. He's only a couple of tenths back as well. And 1 second separates the top 8 drivers. That is the difference. So close to have a grid that tight, particularly on GT7. But just goes to show the quality of all these drivers in this Group B lobby. Pastina with a 52.0, and Clevy Michael didn't have a very good lap there, so his hot lap wasn't going to when he's had to go to the pits. He still needs to set a hot lap, as pretty much everyone dives in. They're going to change out them tyres and have another crack at it. It's key to get a really good qualifying time for this 7-lap race. It's relatively short. There's only 2 or 3 real genuine overtaking opportunities at Suzuka. You're kind of relying on people making mistakes. And at this kind of level, it doesn't often happen that the drivers are making major errors. So you need to kind of rely on a good qualifying position and a good start and a good run down to turn 1 to give yourself that absolute quality option. So in the pits comes Angzen to change out those tyres. Currently our pole sitter with a 150.9. He's going to come out and do another outlap and then have another crack at improving that time. And I don't know who that Patricio is. He didn't belong here, but he has now left us. Now it's clear the lobby's for something specific. Why would you be sticking your head in the door and risking everybody else getting disconnected? Excuse me. So GTBE on pole with ATR joining them on the front row. GT, they're split at the moment, split with a couple of GTBE drivers in that top 3. Good evening, Bandit. How the bloody hell are you? I hope you enjoy it this evening. I'm Car, who has, I think, my favourite name in Supersport. Or certainly sim racing, because you can't get much clearer than what he does. I'm Car. I hope it's not pronounced completely differently. And that's so ridiculous. Who knows? Who knows? And to be fair, who cares? Red 92 from Italia. He's running in 6th position on row 3. Everyone on a new, fresh outlap. And we'll wait to see that Clevy Michael is the one that still needs to set. He's on his hot lap now. He's going to have a little bit of slipstream at the back of Bax. But Bax is not on a hot lap, his teammate. So he does breeze past him. Obviously being teammates, they'll be communicating. And Bax wouldn't have held him up in any way, I would have thought. 2 ATR drivers, or 2 of the 4. Is it 4 ATR drivers or 3 ATR drivers? There's 3 ATR drivers in the lobby this evening. So here he comes to set his first hot lap. How hot is it? Well, incredibly. Puts him straight on row 2. Great composure, especially after the disaster that started when it just didn't go well for him with his first attempt, and then puts himself firmly on row 2. So it is France leads from Poland, Turkey in 3rd, then Poland absolutely dominating that top 6. Italian, Belgian, another Polish driver, and at the rear of the pack at the moment is Pastina for the DC team from Italy. So a couple more cracks for everybody to set another hot lap. They'll have one more after this, I think, one more real opportunity to set another hot lap and see how it goes. Because you know, the problem is as well, if you can't improve and you're further down the order, it's gonna tell its tale. And now Angzen, currently on pole, was up when he went through that sector timing. So we could see an improvement in his time here as he swoops up towards this. Oh, is it for your first ever round? Funnily enough, DCT, although we are not new as broadcasters, we are new as a race team. We had a few drivers competing last year with HKRT, who do a bit of stuff. We've got kind of connection with them. But this is actually Black Flag's first season in GTFusion as well. Don't know how you guys have got on this weekend, but we didn't do too badly yesterday. 14 podiums, 3 wins, which I don't think is too bad for a first outing in what is this? An incredibly difficult competition. You really need to be on your A game all the time. But you know, absolute good luck for DCT within GTFusion this year then. And hopefully we'll come across you a few times on track, and we'll go at it, shall we? So no improvement for Angzen. He is still on pole though. Bax is still joining him on that front row. Red does improve, puts himself firmly at the head of row 2, ahead of Ozcan, who doesn't improve on his time. Pastina, massive improvement for him, puts himself on row 3, ahead of Chloe Michael, who did set that one 51.4. Matthew didn't manage to improve on his time, 51.7, 3/10 slower than his first qualifying lap. Ankar did not improve either, that was a bad lap from Mato 4.8. Super Moy couldn't improve either, and Mycin not being able to improve on that lap time. So one last opportunity for them all to set a hot lap and improve on their times. 1 second separates all 10 drivers. That is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, that you got such a close separation between them. And it just goes to show just how important qualifying is going to be here, because of how close they are in terms of performance. So at the moment, GTB lead the way. We've got ATR in second. We have got that's Red 92 coming in for the One Up Academy, for the executive project team, of course. Another GTB driver in 4th, Pastacanala for DCT. That's a really good performance for Pastina for DCT. Another ATR driver in 6th, EES Matthew in 7th, and his teammate just 0.03 of a second behind him in 7th and 8th, both together on that row 4. Super Moy for GTB in 9th, and Mycin for the ATR team bringing up the rear. Can he improve? So Mycin's going to be looking to improve. It'd be really interesting to see when qualifying's finished if the whole field is separated by less than 1 second. How awesome would that be? And obviously these programs are very, very talented drivers with very good racing pedigree. You know, we're among drivers like obviously the current winners, certainly winners of season for the year 14 last year in 22 was Prima, and they're always going to be the guys to beat. Yeah, I know throughout this week when our guys have been out practicing in some of the lobbies that have been open, they found the Prima guys in there to be incredibly quick and incredibly consistent. Setup of the car obviously very important. Do you set it up for just out speed, or for you're prepared to sacrifice a little bit of speed for longevity in your tyres and fuel? And it really is kind of juggling act. I mean, fuel not so much. Fuel's not as big a concern here as the tyre wear, because it's quite a high tyre wear anyway, and Suzuka is a relatively abrasive racetrack. So whoever is on track now or crossing the line in the next 15 seconds gets to have one last crack at qualifying. Can Angzen improve on that current pole position time, or has somebody else got an extra couple of tenths to find to usurp him and steal pole position? So here comes Angzen. He doesn't improve. That was Paul Lappens at 57, or actually 57.3 for him, yeah. So he doesn't improve. Bax crosses the line. Final lap for him. So he's got, let's see what, I think Angzen's got another crack if he wants it. Bax will cross the line soon. Kevin Michael looking very quick there. Doesn't improve. He stays second. That's his final lap done. Red 92, he's on his final lap. He's got a little bit of a ways to go. Who is going to be next to cross the line? It's going to be Ozcan. Ozcan currently sitting row 3. He needs to find 0.2 of a second. If he can find 0.2 on this lap, he's going to find himself on pole. And that really is all that separates these 10 drivers. Such a small margin of error for them. And as he heads down towards this sector timing zone, we can see just where he sits. Right, so he is currently 0.172 up on his own time, and he's only 0.175 off the leader. He needs to find 3 or 4 thousandths of a second. 4 thousandths of a second in this last sector, and Ozcan will put that car on pole position, and he doesn't do it, losing a little bit of time. He does get the front row though, and puts himself just 18 hundredths of a second behind Angzen, but a quality finishing lap for him. Bax will finish that qualification on 3rd on row 2. Red 92 joins him on. He's on his final lap now, but I don't know whether he's improved. Has he improved? He's not. So he will stay 4th. Mycin, he's finished. He's in 5th position. Pastina for DCT, he's in 6th place. Clavy Michael for ATR, he is in 7th, and that is your final rundown. So there we go. Angzen from Ozcan. Bax in 3rd, 1 up driver Red 92. He's in 4th. Mycin in 5th. 6th will be Pastina. Clavy Michael in 7th. Matthew in 8th. We'll quickly screenshot that so we've got it. I'm Carr in 9th place, and Super Moy in 10th. Pepe, no, it's 7 laps initially. 7 laps for the first race, and then 15 for the feature race, the reverse grid feature race. So they've got 1 minute to set their tyres and get ready to go. Looking forward to this. It was less than 1 second separated all 10 drivers. In fact, if we have a look here, you can see the gap between the 10 drivers was just 0.8 of a second, separating Super Moy at the rear of the pack in for GTBE, and his teammate Angzen at the head of the pack. So 2 GTBE drivers on 1st and 2nd, with the other one Super Moy at the rear of the pack. But that's a really, really solid qualifying performance from every driver. And it's difficult to be disappointed with your performance when you are only 0.8 behind the leader, despite being on the back of the grid. So I'm fully expecting. The thing is now, it's all about how well you can start. You can quite easily get a good start here. We saw in some of the races yesterday that there were people making 2 or 3 places from the start, just getting off the line that little bit quicker. So good luck to all our drivers as the final starts. This is the first race, Group B, for the 15th season of GTFusion. And we will be underway in no time at all. Let's stay with red there. We will see 5 lights pop up That's your first one, that's your second, that's your third, that's your fourth. When this fifth light and all five go out, we will be racing here at Suzuka for GTFusion Group B, and everyone looks to be away cleanly. No one makes a big jump, although Ozcan up the inside of his teammate looking potentially for a move. Does he lose out? He doesn't. He does hold on. So Zen holds the lead from his teammate Ozcan. Ozcan under a bit of pressure early on from Bax, but Bax couldn't make it stick and has to slot back into third position. Red 92, the Italian driver, in behind Bax, and ATR looking ready to be pretty racy up there in third. Got a couple of, at the moment, Red is kind of sandwiched. That's a one-up driver sandwiched and one-up academy driver. Sandwiched in between some ATR drivers with, he's got another driver, he's got DCT in there for company as well. Big chase down by Mycin. Cleverly Michael also having a little go in there. There is EES Matthew with his teammate Iron Car just behind him, and bringing up the rear is Super Moy. But all still, look how close together they are. No real massive gaps, other than really Angzen out in the lead. Already putting out 1.2 seconds at the front of the pack here. And I do like that green livery. It's very striking and clearly very obvious who the car belongs to. So 1.4 seconds as they head down this long straight for the first time in this particular race. Remember, we've got 7 laps, then we reverse the grid and turn it around, 15 laps for them then. Then we have a little break, everyone goes for a wee, gets a drink and high-fives each other and congratulates each other, and then we go again, exactly the same format. So Angzen comes through, he's going to complete the first lap in the lead of this race. Everyone has made it to the end of this lap safely, no problems at all. Angzen from France leads from Ozcan of Turkey. Polish driver Bax in third position. The top 3 not able to pull away from the rest of the pack. It is still everything to drive for. A red 92 from Italy just leads from the other Italian driver, Pastina. 2 Italians there in 4th and 5th. 2 tenths back to Mycin, who's got his teammate Cleverly Michael for company. And then 2 more Polish drivers in Matthew and Imka in 8th and 9th, with Superboy still, the Belgian driver at the back of boys in the pits. He's got 4.5 seconds worth of penalties. He clearly had a problem somewhere because he's got to repair that engine. So he had a little crash, and that's costing him. In terms of tyres, I can tell you now that everybody is on the hard compound tyres except for your race leader, and that would explain why he is putting out a 2.2 second lead. Medium tyres for Angzen and hard tyres all around for everybody else. So the one benefit to having the medium tyres early on compared to the hards is, yes, you are going to have more grip and you can kind of get away from the line and move quicker than everybody else. The downside, of course, is that everybody else around you will be on those faster, softer tyres in the second half of the race after the pit stops. So that's how things are going to kind of mix it up a little bit. Really, Ozcan and Bax in that top 3, they need to kind of try and stay in touch with Angzen on those hard compound tyres, because they're going to be able to stay out a little bit longer. And they, of course, will see Ozcan take the lead when Angzen goes in. So it's all Angzen at the moment is really focusing on building as big a lead as he possibly can on those medium tyres. And being the only driver on the mediums, it could be a bit of a hindrance, because you 4.5 seconds great. He's got a great lead at the moment, but you don't really know what's going to happen later on. And there has been a problem because Ozcan, Bax, Pagner, they've all gone in the pit, so all ditching those tyres really early on. So I didn't feel that those hards had any benefit and got rid of them really, really quickly. So Red stays out and he's up into second. Matthew up into third. Big jumps from these guys, giving it an extra lap or 2 on the hards. So those guys that pit really early certainly feel they can get a good 5 solid laps out of those medium tyres and not worried about the tyre wear, which is interesting. But we'll see. I mean, Angzen will be the benchmark because he started on those mediums, so we'll know just how far into the race those can conceivably go while driving at significant pace. He does have the fastest lap, 1:53. 1.38. We're currently on lap 3 of 7. Ang Zen from France, from the GTBE racing team, leads the way. He's 5.3 seconds clear on those medium tyres from the one-up academy driver, Red 92 from Italy. He's on the hard compound tyres. I imagine we'll see the rest of the hard compound tyre runners jumping in now, probably at the end of this lap. In terms of pace, they're a couple of seconds off the pace on those hard compounds, so we'll want to get rid of them as quickly as possible. Matthew, our host this evening from Poland, racing of course for the EES racing team. He stayed out on those hard compound tyres in 3rd place, as did his teammates. I'm Carr, they're both on the hards now. We'll see them dive into the pits this time out. Well, Ang Zen's staying out, which he would do, he's on the mediums. Red 92's in, Matthew's in, I'm Carr is in. So where does Ozcan slot back? Does he gain second? Of course he does, because they're going to be in the pits for some time, changing out those tyres. So Ozcan comes through. Can he build a little bit of a lead? Now 20 seconds is the lead that Ang Zen has built up now, because he's the only car still left to pit in this race. He's got just under 20 seconds, and it looks at the moment like Ozcan is starting to ramp up the pace and close that gap. Ozcan 1.6 seconds clear of Bax, who is 1.6 seconds clear of Red 92. So staying out that little bit longer has really helped Red stay in the mix with that top 3. 6 tenths behind is his compatriot, only half a second ahead of Meissen, but Pastina currently running in 5th, Meissen running in 6th. In 7th we've got Clary Michael in 7th place. 8th is EES Matthew. His teammate Kia is in 9th, and Supermoy having an absolutely torrid time. Had to repair. He's got to repair his car again. He's had 2 big issues with crashing his car, and that's another repair he's going to do when he can finally get the car back. We don't even know where he is, and he's not in the pits as yet. Can't see where. I can't even get into his car to have a look. So, no, nothing. You look across the rear wing of that GTBE car, and there is nothing to see. Although that gap is starting to come down. This is when he dives into the pits. So, Ang Zen into the pits for his 1 pit stop here on this first sprint race. Ozcan, how close is he going to get? Can he take the lead from his teammate? He comes through the Casio triangle, round that final turn. Is he going to cross the line in the lead of this race? It certainly looks like he does. And here comes Ozcan to take the lead here. He doesn't take the lead. He doesn't. I thought he was going to just nick it. But Ang Zen comes out, but the gap is only now 1.1 seconds. And bear in mind now, he's on the hard compound tyre. He's got to finish his last 3 laps on that hard compound tyre, while his teammate chasing him down is on the mediums. This is going to be a really, really good run to the line. So Ozcan now with the fastest lap at 1:53.0. Can he usurp his teammate? The 2 GTBE drivers running 1 and 2. They were 1 and 2 on the grid as well. We'll have a watch him chasing down here. So he's already got that gap down to under 1 second. He's half a second down on his previous fastest lap, of course. But remember, Ang Zen's on the hard compound tyres. He's not going to have that same traction out of the corners. He's going to have to brake a little bit earlier. He's going to have to get on the power that little bit later. And it's going to make all the difference with the medium tyres behind. But we do have to consider that the longer he holds out, the better it becomes. Because the medium tyres are going to go off relatively quickly. Ozcan needs to get this move done as early as he can. Because the less he's got on tyres, the more it starts to play back into the hands of his French teammates for the Bordeaux Esports team. And heading down into the Casio Triangle, he's a bit closer this time. If he can get a really good exit out of here, he'll pick up a little bit of slipstream down to turn 1, which might just make it a little bit easier further on into the race to catch his teammate. Managing the pace very well out front at the moment. Didn't get such a good exit. Hangs in with a much better exit despite being on those hard compound tyres. So we're on lap 6 of 7. Let's have a full rundown. Angzen leads the way for the Borders Esports team. He's 8/10 clear of his teammate Ozcan from Turkey. 1.1 seconds back to Bax of the ATR team. He's looking pretty racy there in third. 2.1 second gap pulled out over Red 92 from the One Up Academy. He's 2.3 seconds clear of Pastinicalada. It's Pastinicalada. I can't say it, just Google Pastina. He's Italian compatriot, of course, and we just see red going purple in that sector. Is he going to close up on that front three? 3/10 back is Myson, who is with the ATR car trying to find a way to get around Pastina and improve his finishing position. Kevin Michael is running in 7th behind his teammate, just 6/10 below his teammate, and he's got EES Matthew all over the back of him like a really, really bad rash. You do not want a driver that close to you and pushing hard. His teammate I'm Car is just behind, and Superboy he's soft rage quit this race. He gave up on this race when he crashed his car, which is unfortunate, but well, is he holding out for the... Now, okay, I'm going to give my honest opinion on this. It's a reverse grid after this, but I think it should only count as a reverse grid if you actually finish the race. So, from perspective of where he goes, look, I'm not entirely sure what the rules are about this kind of soft rage quit where you just sit in the pits and don't finish the race. But I certainly don't think you should be rewarded with a pole position for a reverse grid for not actually finishing. So we're on the final lap of the race, and that's my rant over, of course. And Angzen, from pole position, has led this race from start to finish. Not once has he been out of the lead of this race, even into turn 1. There wasn't even a debate. He went for a completely different strategy to everybody else, and it's at this time paid off. He's on the hard compound tyres now, but his teammates still can't close much more than 8/10 of a second behind him. He does have the fastest lap, Ozcan, but not quick enough to catch his teammate. And at the moment, Ozcan's concern isn't catching his teammate, it's can he keep Bax at bay? Because Bax is getting really close and looking to try and make a move on Ozcan to steal second possibly in this race. Red 92, he's now dropping away from that top 3. Doesn't look like he's going to challenge them for the podium place here. 4.1 seconds back to Pastina. He has Matthew with a really, really good exit out there. Can Matthew improve his lot, get himself into that top 5? He's going to run around the inside here. He will have the outside line into this double apex left-hander, but old switcheroo is certainly a possibility. Can he do the undercut here? Not quite quick enough. He's a little bit too hot into the first turning there. Had to kind of redress himself, but great exit. What an exit! And he's going side by side. Makes the move on the DC team driver up into 5th. Can he make it stick? Absolutely he can. Although Pastina Calder is not giving this up. He's tucked in behind, but to me that's it. He's through. So we watch Angzen come round that final corner. He will take the win in this first race here. His teammate Ozcan 2nd, Bax in 3rd. Red 92 comes home in 4th. Matthew, that brilliant overtake, got him up to 5th place. Pastina has to settle for 6th. Mycin in 7th. Kevin Michael and I'm Car crossed the line almost at the same time. 8th and 9th, and Superboy is now back out on the track. He's only done 3 of the 7 laps and absolutely should not be starting on pole. My opinion on that is very clear. I'm allowed to have an opinion. I'm a commentator. It's my thing. Yeah, you know, whether or not you damage your car. Look, I'm saying that if he's had a genuine bug, it's a good problem, then fair enough. But I've never seen a bug that does that. And again, loses the back of the thing. He rescues that very well, actually. That was a very, very smart rescue there from Superboy, who is just coming around now to finish lap 3 of 7. Everyone else finished, of course, 7 of 4 laps. So reverse grid should be, in my opinion. I'm Carl, Clevy Michael, Mycin, Pastina. How you doing, Aaron? Good to see you, my friend. Matthew, then Red 92, Bax, Ozcan, Angzen, who won that quite convincingly from his teammate in the end with that different strategy. And then behind him should be Superboy, who sat in the pits for 4 laps and didn't race. However, I don't know if that's going to be actually what happens. We will see. We will see what we will see. But good start for the GT Borderless Esports team with a 1 and a 2. A 1 and a 2 and a Bax and a Red. Yeah, good performance from the 1UP Academy driver. And good performance as well from DC team, who are new to GTFusion this year. So yeah, first round for them, and that's not a bad start for Pastina. There we go. That's your sprint race over, done and dusted. We move on. Straight away, we're going to flip it on its head, and it will be 15 laps of racing. We'll see a couple of pit stops here. I can't imagine anyone's... Well, I suppose you can one-stop this race if you really want to, but we know you are getting more than 5 laps out of those, not 5 reasonable laps out of those medium tyres. Save replay, yes, I will, I'll do that actually, I will save the replay because I want to, there we go, save the replay. I'm saving it because I want to look at that big save from Superboy when he nearly lost the car. So, I'm Carl. You think it's time for his first win? Certainly possible. Certainly possible. It'll be interesting to see if... well, look, let's be clear. Angzen has looked pretty darn quick here. I'm Clevy Michael, why is everyone leaving the room? I don't understand why we don't just reset the lobby. It doesn't make sense to start a whole new room. But apparently that's what we're doing. It should just be a lobby reset, surely. That's how everyone else seems to do it, but yeah, let's do it the old-fashioned way, shall we? For me, this just takes additional time you don't need to waste. A lobby reset will suffice. Pretty much every other lobby does it that way. And I think when they're all saying a new lobby, I don't think they mean an actual new lobby. I think they mean just reset the lobby so it's fresh with the new settings. Excuse me. As you can hear, my cough is slowly subsiding, but not quite gone just yet. So, got to get the new lobby up when it comes. I'm assuming I'm making a new lobby and they've not just gone, that's done. Enough of that. So, good race so far. Really close. And less than a second, 8/10 separated the eventual winner, who was on pole, from Superboy, who was in last position. It was really close. So into the new lobby we go, and obviously got to wait for everyone else to come in. Yeah, just a little bit slow doing it this way for me. But overall, I think it's been a good weekend of racing all round for everyone. Arrow's team racing driver Bax. That's what ATR stands for, Arrow's team racing. I've given up smoking, Aaron. I haven't touched a cigarette since December last year. Yes, I still vape, but it's very different than smoking cigarettes, mate. Chris Red sound. I'd like to think I sound more like the Walrus of Love. The great Barry White. Could be wrong. Right, just waiting for everyone to get back in the room so we can get cracking with the 15 lap race. Welcome, Ilka. So Angzen's obviously the man to beat. He's going to be starting from the back of the grid after that win in the sprint race, and of course we'll see Some of those tail enders starting from the front this time out, which will be a really interesting turn of events. Ozcan and we'll see Zen both back there in the final couple of positions. At the moment, I see that Super Moy is 7th on the grid. That's not right, is it? No, it's not. Yeah, well, just wait for Ozcan to tick in so we can get this race cracking. He has now ticked in. He can set the grid and we can get cracking with 15 laps here at Suzuka. Such a close race first time out. No real opportunities for any. I think there was one overtake in that first race, and that was that last lap overtake for Matthew, which busted him up into that top 5 and gave him that little bit more kudos for the EES team. Good performance from him to make that overtake and gain that additional position. That makes all the difference. Of course, it meant it busted him one further down on the reverse grid rung, which is being set as we speak. So what happened next? We'll have 15 laps reverse grid racing. Most drivers, I think, will see most going for a 2-stopper here, with one of those potentially being on the soft compound tyre. That's, of course, depending on what they can do with the mediums. Mediums seem to last no more than 5 laps. That's when they start to really go off. We know that the softs only do 3 laps. 1 really good one and 2 okay laps. The mediums seem to be the tyre that only does... I think really the mediums are the tyre you want to use for your quicker laps, I think. You could do your 5 on the mediums, you could do sort of 7 on your... hards, and then do your couple of laps on these softs at the end. So Superboy does get on the pole despite not finishing that previous race. But we'll see. Well, this is where we'll see whether it was just an anomaly, those couple of crashes that went very wrong, and whether he actually done well. We know he's got the pace because he only finished 8/10 behind the leader in terms of qualifying. Be interesting to see if he can improve this time out. And the one thing this demonstrates, right, and I've said this quite often, is the DR ratings in this game are absolutely ridiculous because they can be so easily manipulated. I mean, we saw there that we saw Angzen and Ozcan, both A-rated drivers. Now, on paper, you would think that Red and Matthew and Pastina and Clevin Michael, all and Iron Car, all A-plus drivers, you would assume that those guys would be the ones that would have the significant pace. But it didn't seem that way. It seemed that actually Ozcan and Angzen were much more dominant. And Mycin wasn't too far off their pace either. What YouTube link doesn't work. Well, I'm live, so it's not mine you're talking about. Maybe it's yours. What is it that we are waiting for? Oh, they upload. They might be uploading to their own YouTube. I didn't consider that actually. They might be live streaming from their own thing. I'm not sure what the situation is with that. I don't think they're allowed to do that, are they? Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, it does indeed look like it's going to be a long night ahead. We've talked enough, Jay, about there doesn't need these huge delays in between the races. Are just unnecessary. It should be qualifying, bang, set the grid, go. Even I would say we're quicker than this with Gauntlet, and then Gauntlet involves rolling a new track. So, race number 2, 15 laps, reverse grid. Supermoy from Belgium leads them out from Iron Car. We've got another Borderless Esports driver on pole. We did in race number 1 as well. And that's your 5 lights. We are away. Superboy gets a good start. Does he get swallowed up into turn 1? That's the question. We've got to look out for the race leader and his teammate who started on the back of the grid. Into turn 1, Superboy through. I'm Car in behind him. Clavy Michael in third, Myson in fourth, Matthew in fifth. That's where he finished that last race. Really close racing through there. They get through there without touching. That is brilliant performance from them. Red 92 gets a little bit squirrely, holds onto it though. He's running in sixth. There is Bax in seventh, Pastina in eighth, and Zen is already ahead of his teammate Ozcan in ninth, and of course Ozcan at the back of the pack. So again, everyone's sandwiched between the Borderless Esports drivers. Superboy, who's gone for? Oh, you do, don't you? Apologies for that. I pressed the button twice by accident. Right, so tyres. Everybody this time has opted for the hard compound tyres to start. Last time out we had different strategies. We saw Ang Lee starting on Ang Lee. I'm thinking of the famous film director. Apologies for that. Ang Zen from France started on the medium tyres, which led to winning that particular race. And do I have the editor of Sky 1? I do actually have the editor of Sky F1. Yes, he's sitting right next to me. He's sitting on my lap, moaning about playing conditions. 1.3 seconds ahead is Superboy. So he has got some pace. Just can he keep the car on the track this time? In a couple of big crashes last time out. So he's going to be focusing on keeping that car on the black bits and off of the green bits, and certainly away from the brown bits or the silver bits. You don't want to be hitting any of them. So Superboy 1.6 seconds clear, and he's decided to go on it from the outset. I'm car for EES. He's running currently in second place. He's got Chloe Michael, in fact 2 ATR drivers really tucked in behind him, as our drivers really looking for some sort of way through. No help from his teammates. Matthew is behind them in fifth place, and on board with Chloe Michael, the Polish driver, trying to find a way around I'm Car, who's currently running in second. And at the moment, while I'm Car is defending, what he can't be doing is chasing off up the road after Superboy, who's pulling out a nice, decent gap out front already. I mean, Chloe Michael already 2.7 seconds behind the leader, as we see that 6.66, the gap between those two cars. I went too far, didn't I? That's not what I wanted. There we go. Right, so in the lead is the Belgian driver for Borderless Esports. He is 2.1 seconds clear of I'm Car for EES. Clevin Michael and Myson from the Arrows team in third and fourth. Then the other EES driver in Matthew in fifth position. The first of the two Italians, Red 92 from the One Up Academy, in sixth place. And just 2 tenths behind is Bax from in the other ATR car, in 3 tenths behind. Bastina from Italy from the DC team in 8th place. Finished their last race in 6th. Yes, Filippo, everyone is on hard tyres to start this race. Ozcan in 9th position for Borderless Esports. He's now ahead of his teammate Ang Zen. They were 1 and 2 in the other direction last time out. That's how we're looking. Superboy with the fastest lap has kept the car on the track this time and doing very, very well out in the lead. My thoughts about whether he should have got pole are irrelevant at this stage because he did. But he's 2.7 seconds clear now of I'm Car. So really getting those hard tyres working very, very quickly. The danger, of course, is that if you put in too much through them in this early stage, you're going to have to pit sooner, and that's just going to give everyone a run on you and potentially mess with strategy. In terms of tyre wear, absolutely that's what's happening. He is really, he's not looking after those tyres at all, and the wear on his tyres in comparison to everybody else is a bit higher. But maybe he feels that the offset is worth it. Everyone that's racing in GTFusion will have put significant time into running their different strategies, their different options, different setups, that kind of thing. So he clearly feels, and he would have been working with the rest of the Borderless Esports team on this, he clearly feels that it is worthwhile taking some out of the tyres and building himself a nice little gap. But at the moment, you're Squeaky, absolutely brilliant. Your teammate there, I'm Car, doing very well for ES. in second, and Matthew dropping back behind Bax. Bax has taken 5th place from Matthew, and now he leads the charge in chasing down the 2 ATR drivers of Myson and Chloe Michael. But Superboy at the moment, really solid performance on those hard compound tyres. 3.3 seconds is the current lead of this race, and looking back behind his car, we want to do it from this position here. You can see the drivers chasing, but he's already well up to speed, well into lap 4, and in the gap now, as he crosses the line, is 3.4 seconds almost. As he's into turn 1, they're still trying to find their way through, and he's gone wide. That's going to let them close up on him. He'd got the gap to 3.8 seconds, but loses significant time when he goes wide, and it's down to 1.5 seconds already. Fuel is going to, fuel's definitely going to be an issue, but also tyres, because Superboy's absolutely battering those tyres in comparison to everyone else. He's probably taken double the amount of wear out of his tyres than anybody else on the racetrack at the moment. Really putting the pressure on them. So Imcar still holds on in second, ahead of Chloe Michael and Myson, both ATR drivers, making sure they don't get in each other's way, which is good. Myson obviously benefiting from a little bit of slipstream, as is Chloe Michael ahead of him. And it's going to get really noisy really quickly as my family arrive home. Bax running in 5th place, 1 second clear of Matthew from EES. He's lost a position to Myson, 2 tenths ahead of Red 92 from that 1 Up Academy, and he is 5 tenths of a second up from Ozcan, who's gained a position, moved up to 8th position from 9th. Ang Zen not demonstrating his heroics of the first race, the sprint race, and finds himself still back in 10th place. But interestingly, really looking after his tyres quite well. I tell you what, Myson's doing a really good job looking after them as well. These guys will be able to stand out. That's the thing, if you can look after the tyres and the fuel better than those around you at this early stage in the race, you can already see, if I look at people like Ang Zen's much better on fuel than everybody else, certainly much better than Pastino ahead of him. Everyone else, really, Matthew's doing really well with fuel as well. Everyone else is, apart from Imcar, as well, doing a really good job, but everybody else is below that half fuel mark already. I should have brought up I used to have a little box I could bring up with tyres and fuel in it, so I removed it for some reason. But so Superboy, he's probably going to be one of the first into the pits, because he is really putting some stress through those hard compound tyres. He did have a 3.8 second lead going into turn 1 at the beginning of lap 4. But going a little bit wide there's cost him significant time, and now Imcar is starting to close down on him. Similar gap between him and Chloe Michael. He's trying to, the ATR drivers are just trying to stay with them, as Bax is starting to make some moves. Bax, so that's now the 3 ATR drivers running in 3rd, 4th and 5th. So Bax making some moves now, and ATR significantly dominating that midfield. It's going to be a battle of the Arrows team to decide who is going to get the podium. Can all 3 of them get on the podium? Wouldn't that be something? If all 3 of them could do a 1, 2, 3, that would be an absolutely awesome finish. And I know we had a few black flag races yesterday where we had a number of drivers running in the same group, all with one after the other in the regular. And someone's just hit a wall. That looks to be, I think that was Matthew. So Matthew just getting a little bit squirrely. He's hit the wall, he's done some damage to the front of that car, and that puts him at the back of the pack, and he's going to be going slowly with that damage. That's damage to the front aero and to that left front suspension. How much time does he lose? Is it worth scrapping his pit strategy and coming in early now to get those repairs done, or does he still feel he's going to have enough pace in the car to stick it out? That's the big question he's going to ask. Yeah, well, actually, to be fair, it was pit time anyway. He's come in. So Ozcan, who looked after his tyres, looked after his fuel, he has stayed out. Does this give him the opportunity now to build a nice big gap? 6 laps on those hard compound tyres, Everybody did it, so irrespective of whether they took loads or nothing out of their tyres, it didn't really make much difference because they all opted to pit then. IMCAR out on the medium tyres. Superboy will be next out, will he? So IMCAR makes a big jump there, big jump. You think Angzen will win? I'm not entirely sure, to be fair. He was good in race number 1. Not entirely sure this time. IMCAR makes a big jump up to second place. Chloe Michael into third. He's come back out onto more hard tyres. He's doing 2 hard tyre stints. IMCAR's come out on the mediums. He's going to try and chase down that 21-second deficit Ozcan on the medium tyres. I think IMCAR's got it spot on. That was a really big jump he's made there. Mycin running in 4th. He's also on the medium tyres. So he's going to try find a way around his teammate as quickly as possible, and they should be talking to each other. And I think actually this is where Chloe Michael needs to be sensible and let his teammate through, because his teammate is on the faster tyres. They're on different strategies. He needs to let his teammate get off up the road and try and close that gap down to IMCAR and stop him pulling away, because at the moment that's of course unless Chloe Michael can catch him on those hard compound tyres. Angzen comes out on the medium tyres. That's quite a big jump from him. He was running last, but really looked after his fuel, which meant he didn't have to put as much fuel on board in that pit stop. Superboy lost out quite significantly in that pit window. He finds himself down now in 6th place. The only driver ahead of him who's just going into the pits now is Ozcan. As I say, he's the only driver that hadn't pit. He has now pit, and he is currently how far ahead? Is IMCAR going to take the lead of this race with those 2 ATR drivers in tow? Here comes IMCAR through the Casio chicane, the Casio triangle as it's known. Ozcan's still in the pits. He's getting that fuel on board. Where's IMCAR? He's coming down now. He will take the lead of this race. Chloe Michael in 2nd, Mycin in 3rd, and Zen moves up to 4th. Superboy up to 5th. Is Ozcan coming out anytime soon? Matthews through, Red 92 through, Bax is through. Ozcan finding out the pits, and he's got a 3-second penalty. That has cost him so much. Absolutely miles and miles and miles of time. He was in that pit for an age and then picks up that dreaded 3-second penalty, which is going to put him back behind Pastina, and it's going to be a very big uphill battle now for Ozcan to move into that top 3. So at the moment, IMCAR still holding on in the lead of this race for the EES team. The gap back to the 2 Arrows drivers is 1 second and maybe 1.3 seconds between him and those 2 drivers. And we've got Angzen now starting to show his pace. He was the winner in race number 1. Went for a bold strategy, being the only one starting on the medium tyres, and absolutely paid off for him. He's tucked in behind Mycin, both running on medium compound tyres. And interestingly, I thought Mycin should be allowed to go by Chloe Michael, but he doesn't seem to be much quicker than his teammate, despite being on the softer compound tyres. I think you're absolutely right, Aaron. I think fuel saving is trumping tyre usage. Not necessarily, I don't think in the 7-lap race it makes a blind bit of difference. I think tyre usage in the first race is key in the 7-lap, but I think in this 15-lap race, that's when the fuel saving really comes in, because it's such a long time fueling. Angzen absolutely flies into the wall like a rocket, gets out, loads are wrong, so many loads are wrong, and into that wall he goes, and unfortunately you cannot park that there. And he's back there now with his teammate and the guy that joined him in the front too. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. He's 3.5 seconds behind. He's going to have to repair some damage. Ozcan served that penalty. He's in 9th. Bax, he is running in 7th at the moment. I think what it was, Filippo, I think he used too much fuel in the first stint. So he had to put more on board in his pit stop. And as Stormfly above you is saying, that fuel saving absolutely trumps the usage. And the key here is if you can save fuel, you're spending less time in the pits. And I think overall it will, we saw it quite a lot yesterday, it will make the difference. In this 15-lap feature race it does. In the sort of earlier races, 7 laps, not really so much of a big issue. But here in this 15-lap feature race, absolutely key. to get that fuel usage right. And at the moment, we've got a Polish 1, 2, 3. I'm car for ES leads by just 1 second over the Arrows team Clary Michael, followed by his teammate Mycin. He's on the medium compound tyres, as is I'm car in the lead, and Superboy, who is sticking with them now on those mediums. Superboy had a terrible race number 1, absolutely melted it in race number 2 and built a big lead, at least for a while. 1 second per 2 litre feels like 15. So yeah, you're right, man. I'm glad I've got him there to do the math for me. So there we go. Matthew running in 5th place. We saw him have a little bit of a wobble early on and sent him to the back, but he has now repaired his car and he's back up into this midfield. Now, medium tyre runners, they're going to be coming in the next couple of laps for another change of tyres. Those hard tyre runners will also need to come in as well to change out for a second run on the mediums. But it's going to be about when the fuel runs out. Now, in terms of fuel, we've been talking quite a lot about fuel, and the mate Zhang Zhen going into the pits. He's going to repair, and I think he's probably going to try and make it to the end of the race on hard compound tyres, maybe. Although I was going to say they're not the yellow mediums. We don't have colour-coded cars in that. Colour-coded tyres in the GT, which is stupid. So Pastina is 12 seconds ahead at the moment for the DC team. He's going to be pitting in the next, probably about lap 11, I think. If you can hold out to lap 12, you can put some soft tyres on, because he has run both compounds. Ozcan, his fuel is going to run out long before his tyres do, and I imagine that will be probably lap 11 or 12. Bax, he's got a bit more fuel on board. His tyres, again, he's run both compounds, so he can dive into the pits and finish on soft compounds. I think there are a few that are planning to do that. That put the hards on, run the mediums for a little bit longer, and then splash of fuel, and then run some softs to the end of the race. Red 92, he is running in 6th place at the moment. His pit window is going to open very shortly. End of lap 10 will be when I imagine he'll go in. Matthew for EES running in 5th place. He's 1 second clear of Red, and within 1 second of Mycin at the moment, running in 4th place. Superboy has made his way up into that top 3 on those medium compound tyres. The last lap was 55.3 for Mycin, 54.5 for Superboy. Ozcan, currently the fastest man on track, with a 1:52.7. All well and good chucking those laps in, but he's running in 8th place at the moment, so he needs to do several of those to get himself up and through the order. Imcar doing a sterling job. He's not been able to pull any kind of gap out in front, but once he took the lead of this race after the pit window, he is looking pretty racy at the moment, and was doing really well in 2nd, and he now finds himself in the lead, 8/10 clear of Clowie Michael. Now the question's going to be fuel, because Imcar's burnt a little bit more, and obviously the benefit of being in behind, so Clowie Michael, Superboy's going to have to pit at the end of this lap without question. His tyres are already in trouble. He's only got a couple of big braking zones left in those tyres, and hopefully he can make them last until he goes in. But in terms of fuel and tyre usage, it's not too different between Imcar and Clary Michael. Clary Michael got a little bit more in terms of fuel. 1 lap more maybe for them. If they don't come in at the end of this lap, they will definitely be coming in at the end of lap 11. But they do seem to be pushing quite hard. Superboy definitely at the end of this lap. I think Mycin will be as well. And I think most of them will be looking at the tyres. I think this is pit window time at the end of lap 10. As we see Red 92 being challenged by Bax. Bax making that move. He's got a little bit more fuel on board, a little bit more left in those tyres, so could potentially go 1 more lap. It's going to be a little bit ropey towards the end of lap 11, but he could go 1 more lap if he can continue this kind of pace, because he's just moved up into 6th place. And there we go, top 4 in, top 5 in. What does Bax do? Bax goes in as well. What about Ozcan? Ozcan goes in. He had to, fuel wasn't there for him. Pastina also goes in. Everybody in the pits. absolutely everyone. So nobody on the racetrack at all. So it's going to be who was quickest in and quickest back out that makes the difference. Here we find out, can Imcar come back out in the lead of this race? And what tyres does he come back out on as he's desperately trying to get fuel in that car? You can see there, the Bax had the most amount of fuel when he went in. So that will mean he's got less to put on board. And you can see there, 1 second per 2 litres, 2% of fuel going in, and you need 15% a lap. 5 laps left. You essentially need almost a full tank here. There we go. Right, so Imcar does come out in the lead. How far out is he? 2.1 seconds, that says. Kevin Michael is now in terms of fuel back on board. So very similar amounts. Although Imcar, I think, has been a little. I'm sure he's done the math himself, and I'm sure he knows where he can fuel save. But I think he's been a little bit underestimating. But what do I know? I don't drive anywhere near this kind of pace. 1.5 seconds is the gap to Kevin Michael, who comes out in second. Matthew, with a phenomenal pit stop, comes out in third. They're all running on the medium compound tyre. Mycin also on the medium compounds. In fact, everyone's going to be on the mediums because the softs just will not last this long. Half second back to Bax. He made an overtake before the pits and gained another place after. Superboy loses out again, way down that order, and he puts on, in comparison to everybody else, he puts on a lot more fuel. Now that could be a ploy. That could be to give him that additional ability to push. He doesn't have to fuel save so much, but he's certainly lost some time doing that. He's going to have to make some overtakes. Red 92 from the One Up Academy, 1.4 seconds behind Superboy, 3.5 clear of Ozcan, and Angzen's still in the pits. He is filling that car up to the absolute brim. So another soft rage quit there from the person at the back of the pack. Listen, my feelings are clear on that. It's a shitty thing to do. Oh, what, you're last, so you don't want to race anymore? Come on. Seriously? Particularly at this level, I'm going to call it at this level, just because it's not going well for you, what it means you should hide in the pits. You know, it's, for me, I think it's an insult to people who race on a regular basis around the back of the pack. You know, there are some drivers out there who, you know, every race find themselves in 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, and stick through the races, whether it be an hour, 2 hours, 10 laps, whatever. And I think it's really disrespectful to them that on the one time that you're not winning or it's not going too well for you, dive and sit in the pits and sit it out. And then of course you get rewarded for that with a reverse grid first place. Imcar currently half a second clear of Kevin Michael. At the moment, the Polish drivers absolutely dominating this race, quite significantly. Half second between Kevin Michael and Imcar, half second to Matthew for the EES team. Good to see 3 teams in the top 3. Sorry, 2 teams in the top 3. EES with a much better performance this time out. Yeah, top 4 Polish at the moment. Superboy, oh, is he Polish as well, Superboy? That clearly looks like a Belgian badge to me. I'm assuming that he is also Polish then, when I said that, because Mycin's running in 6th. So Imcar, Kevin Michael, Matthew, back Superboy, Mycin running in 6th place. Red 92, Italian driver running in 7th. Ozcan from Turkey running in 8th, and Pastina from Italy running in 9th. And French driver with both hands in the air who has surrendered. No change there then. 3.2 seconds now. The drivers behind starting to use that slipstream in behind Imcar to not only look after their fuel a little bit, but to put the pressure on. And they do have, particularly Kevin Walker, a little bit more fuel to allow him to push. He can save a little bit in behind there. Ozcan with the fastest lap of the race, 1:52.7 thus far. On those medium tyres though, 1:54.3 for Kevin Michael. Imcar with 1:54.4. A tenth of a second difference there. Matthew with a 1:54.1. He's the quickest of that 3 at the moment. 1:53.1 for Bax, and he's just gone purple again. His intentions are clear. Bax is looking to get into that top 3. The gap to Matthew is 1 second, but look, at this level, it's one thing to catch. It's a whole nother matter to get past, and it's not the easiest racetrack to do that. That's another purple sector for him. Let's go on board with Bax on this chase down of Matthew. He's gone purple sector 1, purple sector 2. Do we see another purple sector for him as he comes through now up this sweeping right-hander into the double apex left at the top of the hill? Into this double apex, here we go. Excuse me, using all that racetrack. Round to the left on the power. Can he close up now? Excuse me, got a lot of slipstream on the back of Matthew. 0.6 of a second is that gap. Superboy 1.7 behind. And Mycin drops down a position, red up to 6th place. That's another purple sector. I think we're going to see a new fastest lap of the race. Into the Casio triangle they go. Everyone through safely. No one, and that's the good thing, that we haven't seen anyone touch thus far. It's been very, very clean racing in this business end of things. And here we go, Bax getting a great run on Matthew. That's a 1:52.8 fast, not fastest lap. He's a 10th down on Ozcan. Ozcan absolutely blistering time, and Matthew just doing everything he can to defend. Carl loses first place to Clavy Michael, who's now out in the lead. We've got the 2 EES drivers running currently in 2nd and 3rd, but at the moment Bax behind, trying to find a way through. Matthew is defending with his dear life. What can he do? Bax is pulling out every single one of the moves he knows to find a way through, and he just cannot get past. Is there an opportunity here up the inside? The door is open. Bax makes the move. He is side by side with Matthew. He gets ahead, makes the overtake, and it sticks. Bax is on a charge. He's into that top 3 and splits those EES drivers into Clavy Michael for ATR, taking the lead of this race from Imcar. Imcar ran so well, came out of pits first and just doing the job. But as we move into the last stages, the last knockings of this, Clavy Michael is in the lead by half a second from Imcar. Moving into the last couple of sectors, let's have a full rundown. Bax with a massive charge forward takes Matthew and drops him in out of that top 3. Can he do the same to Imcar? He's certainly got the pace at the moment. He's up in those levels. Superboy, bad race 1, started from the front of the grid here. He's down to 5th, half a second back from Matthew. Is Matthew going to be under threat now from the Belgian driver? 2.3 seconds back to Red 92, gets ahead of Mycin. Mycin couldn't match the pace up there with his compatriots, his teammates, and he is at the moment battling with Red 92. Mycin 1.3 seconds clear of Ozcan, fastest man on the racetrack, but not quite quick enough to get him further up the order. Everyone on the final lap. Pastina running in 9th, and the Frenchman with his hands in the air surrendered in the pits. So there is your race leader. We are on the final lap here. Imcar running in 2nd. Can Bax move any closer? He's got Matthew fighting back at him, but can he make the move? The top 5 so close together, separated by just 2.4 seconds. Clavy Michael 0.6 clear, and Imcar not been able to close up. But yeah, ATR absolutely dominating this race. First position, they've got a driver in 3rd position, 2 podiums for ATR in this race. The other ATR driver, of course, at the moment is Mycin, who is tucked in there behind Red. Can't find a way through though, and it's going to be a difficult task, but potentially with some slipstream he can get this done. He's looking round the outside into the hairpin, goes for the old switcheroo. Red cuts that option off, so Mycin has to stay in behind. Can he make the move in out of this double apex left-hander and down towards 130R? So the opportunity possibly still there. He's tucked in there. He knows it's the last-ditch effort. Does he make that crazy dive? Risk losing 7th to gain 6th. I think it's actually worth taking. And Red gets a bit wobbly out there. Can't maintain it. He's trying to cut him off. But Mycin side by side. Can he make the move? He's got the inside line now into this little left-hander, but he has to dive out Red 92 holds on. So it's going to be, the winner is going to be the Polish driver, a Polish top 4. That is phenomenal. Here comes Chloe Michael. He's got Imcar tucked right in behind him. But Chloe Michael wins. Imcar comes second. Backs, great third place, taking Matthew a couple of laps before the end. Superboy drops down 5 places, finishes 5th. Ozcan in 6th. Mycin in 7th. Bastina in 8th place, and Red 92 couldn't hold on, lost a number of places after getting squirrely there right at the end of the race, and finishes in 9th position. And Angzen in the pits, couldn't even be bothered to come back out and finish the race. Great racing. That was a phenomenal finish to that 15 lap race, and all the way through every driver was on it right through. Superboy started very well, but after the pit window didn't really get back into this race. We saw Imcar taking control from that point onwards, and came out of the pits, and for all intents and purposes came out of the pits in the lead, and just had to hold on for those final 5 laps. Couldn't sustain the pressure of the ATR driver Chloe Michael behind him, who took the win by just 0.3 of a second. And the top 9 was separated in that race by 13 seconds, which over the course of a 15 lap race at this kind of pace is not bad. Top 3 separated by under 1 second. Phenomenal racing. My driver in that race has got to be Bax, because he lost significant places after the first stint, but what he actually did is he actually overfueled a bit, I think, for before the second stint, and gave himself less fuel to put on in that final pit stop, which gave him the impetus and gave him a few places to move forward, just purely because he didn't have to spend as long getting fuel in the car. But there we go. So Chloe Michael from Imcar, from Bax, from Matthew, Superboy in 5th, Ozcan in 6th, Mycin was in 7th, 8th was Pastina Gala, and Red 92 in 9th position in the end. You saw him get squirrely out of the that double apex left-hander up on top of the hill, and he was side by side with I think it was with Mycin, wasn't it? And eventually he just couldn't sustain the pace. He did come out in front, but couldn't sustain the pace. But yeah, no, it was an absolutely brilliant race. Fantastic racing from all the drivers. So we're going to have a little break in a minute. We're going to have a little 10-minute break. Drivers get an opportunity just to get some breath on board, breathe, relax a little bit, and then get ready to do this all over again. 7 laps, and then another 15 lap epic feature race. This is round number 1 of the 15th season of GTFusion. We are in the brilliant Honda NSX GT500 2008 to celebrate obviously 15 years of GTFusion. There we go, there's your race winner. And we're at Suzuka in Japan. So let's screenshot the final results. Fastest lap goes again to Ozcan. Ozcan pretty darn races, that boy. 2-second penalty for Mycin. That will be for either he had a penalty moving in, or he didn't use, I don't think it was a 1 minute penalty if he didn't use the correct tyres, wasn't it? So yeah, he obviously carried a penalty across the line and finds himself there. So it's going to be a 10-minute break before the new lobby has started, I believe. There we go. I love the way he's spelling break as in break. So we'll be back in about 10 minutes. Well, I'll be back in about 5 minutes time, and we'll have a little chat going into the next race, shall we? Yeah, talk amongst yourselves. I'll be back shortly. have returned. Joe, just waiting for everyone to get back, and then we can get cracking with some more racing action. And to be fair, it's been pretty darn awesome up to now. How you doing, Arminis? Good to see you, buddy. Good performance yesterday, of course. Another one of the drivers that performed for Black Flag yesterday in GTFusion. Across a number of groups, I'm going to big up the Black Flag, and I'm going to do that because it's my team. Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I at all? So yesterday we had 10 drivers representing us across 3 different groups for Black Flag. And of those 10 drivers, we got 14 podiums, 3 wins, and 4 top 3 qualifications. Particularly good performance from Wendigo in Lobby L with 3 wins and a second place. Three wins and a 3rd place. So podium in every single race for him. Absolutely phenomenal performance there. Arminis with a couple of podiums, 3 podiums in fact for him. Good job for him. Stormfly with a podium as well. Podiums for Slipstream, podium for Wiggy, a couple of podiums for Wiggy actually, and a really good performance from one of our new drivers, Willard, who got himself a 4th and a 5th in his first ever external event. He's never raced in anything like this before, and got himself a 4th and a 5th place, which is absolutely phenomenal performance from essentially a new driver. So 2 minutes before we start, let's dive back into this view, shall we? So format will repeat as it did from the beginning. We will have a qualifying session of just 5 minutes this time though. We won't have the full 15-minute qualifying, so essentially it's one hot lap, because you've got 1 minute 50 to get round, 1 minute 50 to do a hot lap, and then you're done. If you can get 2 hot laps out of your soft tyres, potentially you could. There's enough time to do 2 hot laps, although the tyres aren't going to be super viable beyond that first hot lap. And then we'll go again with the 7 lap. Now, do we see anybody else mimicking the brilliant strategy from Angzen in the first race? He was the only one that started on the medium compound tyre. Everybody else started on the hard, and it just allowed him to pull out a significant enough gap at the beginning of the race to allow him to hold on at the end, despite everyone around him being on the faster compound of tyre. Turned out to be quite a smart strategy, all in all, and we'll see if anyone else employs that similar strategy to him this time. Both Supermoy and Ozcan, his teammates, will they copy him in that kind of strategy? Ozcan's been very, very quick, showing phenomenal pace, a number of fastest laps for him. Will he put himself on pole again? That's the question. Will he put himself on the front row? Right, we are going to be underway again, so some more qualifying. So 5-minute qualifying session will begin when that countdown from 0 to 1, and here we go. So qualifying ensues. 5 minutes of qualifying. 1 really hot lap. 2nd possible opportunity. You have to get this absolutely spot on. It's difficult in terms of, because the 7-lap race and how it panned out last time. I think it's going to be difficult to look beyond those front runners from last time. So like Angzen, certainly like Ozcan, he's been putting in super hot laps. It's very difficult to look past them before this, but Supermoy demonstrated he did have some early race pace. If he can qualify better than 10th, might possibly see him there or thereabouts. Gary Michael got himself a really solid win in that last race, so can't look past him either. In fact, 8/10 separated all of these drivers after the first qualifying. So it really is a case of, you can find a couple of tenths here and there. It's easy enough to change your fare. Now the problem we are going to have is going to be the bunching, because we've got only 5 minutes of qualifying, not 15. A lot of cars on top of each other here, and the last thing you want is to be caught behind another car when you're faster. It'd be great, you get a bit of slipstream, but the last thing you want is to be getting into the braking zone, and you're just so much quicker into that braking zone than the car ahead. So got to be careful and make sure they've got a bit of room on the racetrack to themselves and the people in front. So look, Pastina having a look to try and get ahead of Ozcan and maybe start further ahead. But Mycin making a nice big gap for himself out in front. Wants to get a lap set and on the board early doors. And I don't blame him. He wants to make sure he's got something down there. Give himself an opportunity to have a second run if necessary. So Mycin first out. He's going to head down now to 130R. And then we're going to start to see him ramp it up, ready to get started. And what we're going to do, actually, for this race, for his lap of qualifying, we're going to turn everything off, right? And just listen to the car. Turn this up so the engine's nice and loud. Sounds phenomenal, doesn't it? Absolutely phenomenal. So there we go. Just want to listen to that. I do enjoy listening to that engine just go. Right, so in terms of times, Ozcan is on pole with that blistering lap. That was a 1:51.3 from Ozcan. Red 92 puts himself on the front row alongside 2/10 slower with a 51.5. Mycin, row 2, alongside his teammates and a winner of the feature race, Clowy Michael. Just 1/10 of a second separating them two. 2/10 back to Bax, heads up row 3 alongside Super Moy. He's not just any Moy, he's a Super Moy. Nearly 2/10 back to Pastina. That is the wrong part of the racetrack there, my friend. You can't park that there, son. And who's that just jumping up the order? Oh, that's Hang Zen. Hang Zen puts himself on pole. The French driver for GT Borderless Esports puts himself on pole position. 2/10 quicker than Ozcan. Super lap from him. Bax in 7th, Supermoy in 8th, Pastina in 9th, and Imkar is in 10th position this time. Not a great qualifying there. Now, absolutely ballsed up that lap. 2:15.2, and not going quickly in this second possible option. So 24 seconds separate the top 10 this time, but you know, that's an anomaly lap. Again, you know, within 1 second, that top 9. A few of them still going quickly. 14 seconds down. Mycin ends up 4th. Not bad at all. So I think the grid is pretty much set. So Ang Zen will lead the way. Ozcan alongside him. So teammates again, 1-2. They were 1-2 in the sprint race last time. It looks like they might be 1-2 again. Teammate Supermoy is back in 8th place. Red 92 and Mycin on row 2. Matthew and Chloe Michael on row 3. And then it's Bax Supermoy on row 4. And then Pastina with I'm Car on row number 5. 7 laps of racing to go. I didn't actually screenshot this after the last race, I don't think. But I'll do it this time anyway. Didn't say the replay of the last race either. Right, so everyone gets their tyres on. It'd be interesting to see if there's any change in strategy from the last time. Race is about to start. The host, of course, is Matthew, and he's saying go, so that means we're going to go. Here we go. 7 seconds till we line up on the grid and get racing here again. Yeah, really looking forward to this. If these two races are anything like the first two, it's going to be awesome racing. So, here we go. Have I done it? Yes, I have, yeah. I thought I hadn't done it then. So there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4, there's 5 lights. In a minute they're going to go out and these cars are going to be away here at Suzuka. Great start again from Angzen and Ozcan off the line. Can anyone behind get a run on them? There is a little run there from Mycin, but into turn 1 they go. Through safely, Back's a little bit wide, a bit wide, a very lot a bit wide, and he finds himself at the back of the pack. That's a very wide there. So, racing hard tyres for everybody. Again, Angzen going for the medium tyre approach. Everybody else again on the hard compound tyres. So he's sticking with a strategy that works. Only this time, he's not leading the race. Ozcan took the lead, got the jump on him from the start through the S's, and is now in the lead of this race. Angzen desperately needs to get ahead of his teammate if he wants this strategy to work. Now, are they going to work as a team? This is the GTFusion World Team Championships after all. Are they going to, as teammates, take the executive decision to allow Angzen to dive off up the road? Now, for me, you've got a couple of teammates on the track. One is on faster tyres than the other, and has already proven he can win on those tyres. Now, would not the best approach be to let your faster teammate through, and then you hold up the rest of the pack to give him a nice big gap out front, which benefits the team overall because your teammates won. Maybe they just don't do that. Maybe there is no team order and just crack on with it. I mean, we don't necessarily impose team orders of black flag either, but in that kind of scenario, I would expect that they would communicate and make that happen. But Angzen is through. Maybe Ozcan has let him through there actually. So maybe they were under some sort of team orders. So Angzen in the lead now. Can Ozcan hold everyone up behind and allow Angzen to build a nice big gap out front? He's already pulled out 0.6 of a second. Ozcan got 1 up, Red 92. All over the back of him, just fighting to find any sort of way through, and he slides big time, and I'm very sorry my friend, but yeah, he finds himself, where is he now? He is last. Oh my god. Yeah, lost the back end of that Honda there, and found himself off the racetrack. Slidey. Ozcan running in second, 1.2 seconds down the gap for Angzen. Excuse me. Out in front. 1 second to Chloe Michael running in third position. He is half a second up from his teammate Mycin. Actually, we saw lose a couple of places late on in that last race. Matthew got knocked out of that top 3 in that 15-lap feature race last time out. Running in 5th, Pastina for DC Team. He's running currently 6th, the Italian driver. A second ahead of Car, who almost very nearly won last time out. Just couldn't hold off the charge of Clammy Michael towards the end of that race. Superboy 1 second back in 8th place. He was last this time, last time out, so already improved. Bax back in 9th, and Bax got himself in that top 3. Good charge for him in that last race to nick a top 3. And a Red 92 after that spin finds himself at the back of the pack. No damage though, so still all to race for. And Angzen there, he is 1.92 seconds clear. He's clearly opting for the same strategy again. It worked for him last time out. There's no reason why it can't do the same. And straight into the pits again go those hard tyre runners early on. Find it strange they're going quite so early. When another lap on the hard tyres would just give them much better racing mediums. Although the mediums do 5 laps. It's not a train smash to come in this early. But a number of them stay out, of course. So Pastina stays out. Matthew, Car, Red, all staying out. Ozcan, Mycin, Supermoy, who carries a half-second penalty. And that's going to allow Bax to gain 8th place. Bax on the mediums and Clayton Michael on those medium compound tyres as well. So we're going to watch Bax in a moment. He's going to gain, or should gain, 8th position. If he can stay, he needs to get probably within 1 second of Superboy to guarantee that, because the time loss is almost double that half a second, 5 tenths of a second. And and Mycin off the racetrack, nearly taking out his teammate. That's going to cost his teammate. His teammate's not going to be close enough to benefit now on Superboy. Nearly taking out his teammate when he rejoined the track. You could argue that was unsafe. If I was his teammate, I would be screaming Polish obscenities at him right now. I don't know any Polish swear words, but if I did, I would recite some of the ones that I think Bax might be shouting. So 1.8 seconds now to Superboy. So despite that penalty, he's not going to be close enough now to make the move. But it might just close the gap a little bit. 5.5 seconds Superboy's behind Ozcan, running in 6th place. And there's the penalty served, and everyone else going into the pit. So Angzen stays out, of course. He's going to run the full 5 laps on those medium compound tyres. Lap 4 for him. The gap's 6.5 seconds. Pastina in 2nd, Matthew in 3rd, Car 4th, and there goes Ozcan. He comes through. He's in 2nd place. It's like a carbon copy of race number 1. You know what I should have done is I should have taken the footage from race number 1 and plugged it up on the left hand side of the screen, and the race from number 2 on the right hand side of the screen, and compared, because at the moment it's running exactly as the other one did, pretty much, apart from Superboy's not in the pits, quitting at this stage. Superboy's actually on the track, so that's an improvement from race number 1. Pastina comes back out of the pits in 3rd place, 5.6 seconds behind the front 2, 23 seconds behind the leader. Angzen, can he get out, in and out, in front of his teammates? Ozcan has showed some phenomenal pace all day, but just in qualifying, his French teammate, just been that little bit quicker, particularly in the sprint race. He just seems to have that edge over him going into qualifying, and then in the races Ozcan that seems to put in the hot laps initially. Angzen at the moment though with 54.0, got the fastest lap by. I fully expect to see Ozcan put that in his pocket and say thank you very much. Pastina under significant pressure from Matthew from EES. Can he get that move done on him? He is tight in behind the DCT driver and gaining on him as they head down towards 130R. Pastina is kind of keeping that car in the middle of the road. He does not want him to make a way through. Round the outside looks Matthew as Angzen goes into the pits. Can't make the move to 130R. Dangerous, dangerous, dangerous. The only way you get through there is a push to pass. Into the Casio triangle they go, and if he gets a good exit here, which it looks like he does, a bit squirrely at the back for Pastina, but a good run for Matthew, heading down to turn 1. Can he make the move? Pastina is defending that inside line with all of his might, and here goes Matthew up into the top 3, takes 3rd place and makes it stick, and Pastina now has got to worry about Supermoy coming behind him. So Ozcan does take the lead of this race over Angzen, and I'd be a very angry Zen because my teammate is now ahead of me, and being on the hard compound tyre is going to be incredibly difficult, particularly with Ozcan putting in 1:53.2, the fastest lap of the race. It's going to be incredibly difficult to catch him. So it looks like they might be switching the 1-2 this time out, and Ozcan, the Turkish driver, taking the big W, and Angzen taking the big L in 2nd place. Not really losing, is it? It's not winning, it's losing, as they say. Matthew, after that brilliant overtake, up into 3rd, and starting now just to pull away a little bit from Pastina in 2nd. The Italian driver struggling to keep up with Matthew. His next concern, of course, is going to be whether Supermoy, who's just put in a very solid, he had a bad lap there, 2 minutes in that last lap for him. Supermoy with a 1:54.3. Is he going to be able to make a move? He's got his I'm Kerr just behind him in 6th place, who's looking pretty darn racy to come through 130R. I'm Carr through 130R. Yeah. Is he going to be able to make a move coming up to turn 1 as they come through on the power? How quickly can he get on that power? Can he get a good run at Superboy? Not as good a run as Matthew got on Pastina, but not bad. He is closing. He's not going to close enough though to be anywhere near chucking one up the inside when they get into turn 1 here. But under braking is very, very close. Is he going to try and do a little flippy floppy up the inside? Doesn't do it. Now it looks like Superboy's just holding him up a bit, and that's allowing Red behind to really get involved. So Red behind there, you can see he's involved in that battle. This is the battle. We're on board with Red, with Red 92. This is the battle for 5th place. Superboy in 5th. I'm Carr in 6th, and Red from the 1 Up Academy in 7th position. Just getting dropped now by those 2 cars ahead, but this battle is not anywhere near over. In the lead of the race is Ozcan from his teammate Hangzen, and Matthew's still in 3rd. 4th is Pastina, who because of this battle behind it's kind of beneficial when the people behind you are battling, because at the moment Superboy is trying desperately to defend from my car, and Omcar is desperately trying to defend from Red. So that just allows Pastina, the Italian driver, in 4th, to concentrate more on just getting the car through every apex, not worry too much about the cars behind. Look, Superboy is not, he's a threat to him. Of course he's a threat to him. He's kind of there or thereabouts. But at the moment, his worry is I'm Kiar behind him. As we head down to 130R for the penultimate time in this first sprint race, lap 6 of 7, and everyone through cleanly. Very good run through there from Red though, getting a lot closer to the back of these two. It's all about exit. It's all about the exit here. Who gets the better exit? A bit squirrely there from Superboy. That lets Icar get a run on him. Does Red get a run on the pair of them? He's in that slipstream of Superboy as we head into the final lap. And it's leaving a gap on the inside. That was risky from those two. And Red takes out a pair of them. I'm Car and Superboy. But he loses the back end. He can't hold it through turn 1. And it's all gone horribly wrong. And I'm very sorry, my friend, but he does take that position back. Did he get clipped by Omcar? Because it looks like Omcar gave him that position back. To me, it just looked like he lost the back end. But, I mean, there's certainly no damage on the back of him. And there's no damage on the front of Omcar, so I don't know if he did catch him. So Superboy does end up staying in 5th place. And now he has just Meissen behind him. no real challenge. So quickly before we get to the end, let's have a full rundown. Ozcan leads from his teammate by 1 second. The Turkish driver has a lead over his teammate. There is the French driver Angzen, winner of the first sprint race, 3.4 seconds back to the EES driver Matthew from Poland, 3.4 seconds back to the Italian driver Pastina, who's got 2.2 seconds now on Superboy from Belgium. A second ahead of Mycin, who is 2.3 clear of Red 92, who lost his back in there in turn 1. I'm Carr in 8th, Bax in 9th, 10th is Clabby Michael, who's actually going to finish this race in 10th, which is a good thing to see. But here we go into the final few corners. The gap down to less than half a second. Is Angzen going to make a last-ditch dive through the Casio triangle, or is he going to resign himself to the fact that his teammate has this in the bag? They round the final corner, race to the line. It's a 1-2 again for those GT boardless esports drivers. Ozcan in first, Angzen in second, third is Matthew, Pastina in fourth, Superboy in fifth, Red in sixth, seventh is I'm Kya, Mycin comes in eighth, Bax is ninth, Clabby Michael come home in 10th, and Ozcan is sitting in the car giving it. It is very nice. He is up. Good race from him and beating his teammate. So it's 1-1 in the battle of those two. Angzen beat Ozcan in the last sprint race. This time Ozcan beat Angzen for the 1-2. Yeah, looking good for the reverse grid. So reverse grid this time out looks a little bit like this. Now, bearing in mind that Clabby Michael won the race last time out, and this time starts on pole, so could be in a very, very good position for this 15-lap race. We've lost Red 92 from the room. Is he going to come back? I really hope he does make it back for this race, because he's certainly got a lot to offer. All of them have. That's the full rundown. Well, let's run it from backwards to forwards. So Clabby Michael will be on the front row with Bax, his teammate. That could be useful for team instruction. Mycin will be behind them, heading up row 3 with I'm Car joining them. And then one up and Superboy in row 2 for Mycin and I'm Car. Row 3 for Red and Superboy, if Red makes it back, of course. Pastina and Matthew will be on row 4, and row 5 will be the sprint race winning duo of Angzen and Ozcan. And I forgot we don't reset lobbies here, we just make new ones randomly. Each to their own, eh? Each to their own. Let's put something entertaining for the folks on while we wait for this lobby to be reloaded. This is one of our Black Flag drivers on a practice run around the track, so he's not going super quick. It was a practice lap that they didn't realise I was filming. I did try and film someone else, but you kept crashing. Aaron. If you're still here, mate. Okay. For the room to be refound. Interesting, I've seen that's WSR Academy driver training, because we've got a driver in that academy and he wasn't aware of the training. Where's the lobby, man? Where's the lobby? Come on, mate, it's Sunday evening. I want to sit down and hang loose. Maybe get a couple of races in before I go sleepy. Okay, lobby is not returning for whatever reason. Yeah, talk amongst yourselves while we find the lobby. Right, there's the Group C lobby, there's the Group A lobby, but no Group B lobby. You can check out the broadcast for both Group C, Loco TV doing Group C, and CQGT doing the lobby A, and I think actually that one is in French and English. Unfortunately, you get English with me, and that's it, with the occasional French word chucked in, usually a swear word. Yeah, I'm not doing two languages. I already mess up the one language I speak well. I'm not going to start messing around with other languages and start offending half the nation. Right, that's why, because there was a game crash. Oh, Red had a game crash. That's fine, because you can still get back in. Hello, Pierre. How are you, my friend? How are you? Just waiting for this final lobby to get going. We can get some racing on the go. It's been a while. Right, everyone's in. We can get the grid set. It's going to be a reverse grid of that final race, of course, as you well know. This time, the winner of the feature race, the first 15-lap feature race, Chloe Michael, will be on pole. That's an interesting development, because he won that race and he wasn't on pole previously. If he could recreate the same sort of pace he put in that last feature race, we could see a double for Chloe Michael. We had a very good performance. Sprint race wise, Angzen and Ozcan have dominated. They both share a first and a second in the two sprint races. But it's been a very different story in the long runs, because the different use of tyres and the different options have just kind of mixed it up a little bit. And the big thing that we did see from that last 15-lap race was that everybody pit on exactly the same lap. There was a moment in that race when not one car was on the racetrack, because everybody was in the pits at the same time, and it was purely about fuel. And we did discuss fuel, because the refuel rate is 2 litres a second. You lose 1 second per 2% of fuel, essentially. It's 1 litre a second. You lose 1 second per 1 litre of fuel, etc., etc., etc. So 1 second per 2% of fuel. Now you need between 13 and 15% per lap. Look, this isn't from me. This is from my friend Stormfly. So it is about fuel usage. The less you use in each stint, the less you need to put on when you do go in the pits, and that is absolutely paramount. And we saw how important that was in that first race. Right, here we go. We are back on the way. This is the final race. It's GTFusion round 1 in the Honda NSX GT500. Here, Group B at Suzuka. Those 5 lights are on. They go out, and we are away for the final time in this first race. And Chloe Michael with a good start. And that top 3, all teammates. So we've got ATR leads from Bax. ATR very, very wide there. Mysid no longer in that top 3, but Bax and Chloe Michael away well and holding their own in that top 2. Red 92 battling with I'm Kjar, and he does win that battle. I'm Kjar now in a bit of battle with Pastina even. Pastina wins out. A little bit of pushing and shoving between them, but Pastina wins out, and he's up into 4th. I'm Kjar settles for 5th, but he's got Mycin making a move, and no longer is he in 5th. Mycin through, Superboy through. I'm Kjar getting absolutely swallowed up by all the cars around him, and finds himself all the way back now with his teammate Matthew, who finished 3rd in that sprint race. Good result from him, actually. Ozcan in 9th, and Angzen in 10th. So Ozcan already getting past his teammate, who was that getting a little bit squirrely on the grass. They look like I'm Kjar losing some places. Oh, was it Superboy? The Superboy down in 6th position. Wow, well, what a first lap that was. Quite a few battles going on the racetrack there. But leading the charge, we've got 2 of the Arrows team drivers in the lead right now. It's Chloe Michael and Bax in 1 and 2, and already they're putting a little bit of a gap on Red 92 in 3rd. Has everybody started on the hard compound tyres again? Hell yes they have, which means they're all going to pit at exactly the same time. This is all about fuel saving. All about fuel saving. The faster you can go with the least amount of fuel used in these early stages of the race is absolutely paramount. And it will make all the difference to your performance later on in the race, because the less time you spend in the pits, the more time you spend driving. It's that simple. So we'll keep an eye on fuel usage of everybody and who does the best bit of fuel saving. Bax was incredibly racy in the last feature race, made up a couple of positions towards the end of that race, and finished very strongly in third, if I remember rightly. He's now up behind his teammate Chloe Michael. Now the benefit of being there is, one, it's your teammate, so you know they're not going to do anything stupid to mess. Well, you don't know. I mean, not everybody's friends in the same team, are they? But you imagine your teammate's not going to do anything stupid to take you out. But also, it means you can tuck in behind there and you can save a bit of fuel in there, in that slipstream. And that's what you want. If you can save some fuel, you can put yourself in a brilliant position. Now, what Bax did last time out was interesting, because he put on quite a lot of fuel in his first stop. But that came back to him in the second stop, when he put on a lot less than everybody else and gained some places. Does he go for the same strategy here? You know, risk a bit of track position for a better track position later? Who knows? But there he is, Clay Michael leading the way, half a second from his teammates Bax. They are now just under a second clear of Red 92, the Wallach Academy driver. He's got Pastina, the other Italian. The two Italians have been running very, very closely on the racetrack today. But Pastina is right up behind his compatriots. For well, he's a DC team driver. They're not teammates. They just live in the same country. Well, I assume they do, of course. Pastina is tucked in behind Red 92, trying to find a way through. Does he get a good exit out of Casio? Doesn't look like he's going to be close enough this time round. Meissen, the third ATR driver, running in fifth. Now, if Meissen can get past the two Italian drivers ahead of him, we're going to have a Polish 1-2-3. We're going to have an ATR 1-2-3. And what a phenomenal finish that would be if we had that. Don't often see one team dominating the top three positions, of course. It doesn't happen that often. But you never know. It's certainly not beyond the realms of possibility. Supermoy, Belgian driver, half a second back from the Polish driver Meissen. A bit of a gap now to Imcar. Imcar got absolutely swallowed up in those opening laps. Started much further up the field, but just couldn't get early pace in those hard compound tyres, and he's 1.2 seconds behind Supermoy. Is ahead of Ozcan and Zen, making some moves forward. They're ahead of Matthew. Matthew looks to me like he's lost those places. He was behind his teammate Imcar. Now bear in mind that Matthew was third in that sprint race. So really losing out to the two faster cars ahead of him. But what we found actually with Angzen and Ozcan, they've dominated the sprint race, but nowhere to be seen during the feature race. Just couldn't get really involved. I mean, Ozcan finally made his way forward and gained a few places, but in that last race, Angzen could not get up that order. Ozcan getting ahead now of Imcar. Imcar is not running well here. So he just can't seem to get any pace out of those hard compound tyres. And we know that Ozcan has been, I think he's the fastest lap in every race bar the first one. And he's been in the top two. We qualified, was it first and second? Or was it second and second? He's certainly in the top two pace-wise all day long. All day long. Clavy Michael. I don't know how it's pronounced. Clavy? It's Polish, so probably Clavy Michael. That was a ridiculous accent, don't do that again. He's in the lead. He's 8/10 clear of Bax, his teammates. And they're running quite comfortably together up there in the lead of the race. Now, we're starting to get to about halfway through this first stint. So let's have a quick look at how the fuel is looking. Two drivers out front, absolutely identical. Red identical too. Pastina a little bit heavier on the fuel. Meissen again is an ATR driver, almost identical to his teammates. Super Moy's put a little bit more, as has Ozcan. I'm Kia. He did really well for fuel last time, I remember rightly. He's doing well this time, which does make the difference in the pits. Absolutely makes a difference. Angzen doing okay. And Matthew at the back, he's doing best for fuel thus far. I'll let you know when the first driver drops below half a tank, shall I? Let's do that. Now, do we see them pit all around lap 8 or earlier than that? There's no doubt in my mind that those hard tyres will take you easily to lap 8. But you can do 5 laps on the medium compound tyre. If you're going to be 2 stopping, which the drivers pretty much are all doing, then you're going to be running the hards until lap 5, lap 6, and then on to those medium compound tyres. There is the option, and I don't think anyone's actually done it, to as long as you run the 2 option tyres of hard and medium, there's nothing to stop you also using the softs. There's nothing in the rules to say you can't use them. You just have to use the hard and the medium. Does anyone go a little bit longer on the hards this time? Stays out there a bit longer on the hard compound tyres, which you can do. Put on the mediums and then just finish with a blast on the softs for 3 laps. I don't know if anyone's even run that scenario. I think it's been ignored because it is because it's only 3 laps. I think everyone's pretty much ignored that as a strategy. Who knows if it is a viable strategy? Oh, and that is very wide from Clary Michael. How many places is he going to lose trying to regain his position here? That is loads, way back. He's lost out. He's back in 9th place, and Matthew's going to get a run on him while he gets the dirt off his tyres and gets back up to speed. That has allowed Bax to open up a 2-second lead. The only benefit, of course, there is that at least it's his teammate and not another team. So Bax now takes the lead of this race. Pit window firmly open now. Whether they choose to go in now or not is another matter, but it is open for business. Well, it's always been open for business, but it's actually now a viable option to start thinking about using that. And I'm surprised that nobody in this feature race has opted to go early on the mediums, pit early, and then do a stint on the hards in the middle sector to then go on the mediums again later. Just to mix up the strategy a little bit and change things up. But each to their own. I mean, look, these drivers are significantly faster than me, and they will have run all of the options. Right, so Bax is staying out, is he, or is he coming into the pits? No, in he comes. So we're going to see a gaggle of cars all coming in now. Red in, Mycin in, everyone in. I'm Car, Matthew, Clavy Michael. That's it again. Nobody's on the track. Nobody's on the track. If you want to go out there and retrieve something from the tarmac, now is the time to do it. So, who gets out first? Will it be Bax? You would think that he would be the one you would expect to be out first. However, fuel-wise, I think Matthew, Clavy Michael, doing a bit better on the fuel. Right, Mycin, the bravest Mycin, out first. He puts on the least amount of fuel, but he is going for a racy time. He's got on the medium compound tyres. He has decided that he wants to go 4 laps of racing. Red out on the mediums as well. He's put a little bit more fuel on board. Bax as well put more fuel on board. He's on the medium tyres. I'm Car on the mediums. Ozcan, Matthew, Pastina, Angzen, Supermoy, Clavy Michael. All the strategies absolutely marrying up, all on exactly the same strategy. The only difference is, of course, how much fuel they put on board. Mycin was the bravest. He's put on the least amount. He knows that he can just about, let's be completely honest here. With the amount of fuel he's got on, he can just about make it to the next pit window. Especially as he's got no slipstream and is defending a lead. Full rundown then. We've got the Arrows driver, Mycin, from Poland, leading the way. He's 8/10 clear of the One Up Academy driver, Red 92, from Italy. He is half a second clear of Bax, the other Arrows driver, also from Poland, 1.2 seconds off the lead. I'm Car, also from Poland, 3 seconds off the lead, 1.8 behind Bax. I'm Car is the I forgot what team he's with. How can I forget? My mind's just gone completely blank. Of course, it's the EES draw. What is wrong with me? Don't listen. It's Sunday evening. It's been a lot of streaming over the last. What 6 hours yesterday and another 4 hours today. 10 hours of. Well, in fact, more than that. Nearly 7 hours of broadcasting yesterday. So 11 hours of broadcasting over 2 days. That's more work than I do over 2 days. So I can't VES. Anyway, I digress. In fourth place, we're on lap 7 of 15, almost halfway through the final race here at Suzuka. Half second back is Ozcan for the Borderless Esports team. Half second back to the other EES driver, Matthew07. Been a glorious host today. Really good job as a host. I'm quite critical about lobby hosts because I think it's not an easy job, but it's not a particularly difficult job either. And I think overall, I think Matthew's been quite a good host. Personally, I think he could have just reset the lobbies rather than create new rooms every time. But the rules do say new lobby. Not quite sure that he's meant in the spirit of actually starting a new lobby, but who knows. Pastina, he's running in 7th place for the DC team. They are, like Black Flag, a brand new team to GTFusion this year. And straight in at the business end is Pastina, running in this Division B. And holding his own in there as well, which is absolutely fabulous. And it'd be interesting to see what sort of movement we have out of these groups. Obviously I don't control which groups I do each month. They're just assigned to me. It would be good if I could do this same group every race, and then get a really good idea of how the drivers develop over the course of the season. Ilka, how are you? Waving back at you. Angzen running in 8th for Borderless Esports. His teammate Super Moy is just behind him. Loses the back end though, but he does rescue it. It's a couple of times Super Moy has rescued what could have been a very nasty accident. And after his accident is Chloe Michael at the back of the pack, and he's still 2.3 seconds off Super Moy and struggling to get back in touch. Bear in mind, he won this crippling race last time out. Super Moy with the fastest lap of the race, 1:54.5. And that's changed hands a few times now. Strangely, we haven't seen Ozcan up there for a bit, but I'm sure he's holding back for later. So Red 92 has got himself into the lead of this race, and it's the first time we've seen the Italian driver up at that proper business end. Just goes to show how close these guys are in terms of ability, because we've now got the one-up Academy driver, Red 92, in the lead of this race over the Arrows driver, Mycin. So this time, last 15 lap race, it was a sea of Polish drivers in the top 4. Now we've got an Italian in there mixing things up in first place. 3 Polish drivers behind, of course. We've got Mycin in second. Bax, his teammate, in third. So still very, I tell you what, to be fair, this Arrows team have been very, very dominant. It's Borderless Esports dominant in the sprint races, but in these longer run endurance races, it's been all about the Arrows team. I'm Carr, just ahead of Ozcan. Well, he was until Ozcan pulls that move out. Up into 4th he goes. Ozcan showing some phenomenal pace. Can he buck a trend of the sprint drivers not doing so well in the feature race and get himself into that top 3? Ozcan now in 4th place, just 0.6 of a second behind the 2 Arrows drivers. And this being the last race, as we see the lights starting to fade into darkness here at Suzuka. Lap 9 of 15. Pit window opening for the second pit stop in about a lap and a half time. So the end of, not this lap, the end of lap 10 is when we'll see them all coming in. Full rundown again, shall we? We shall. Red 92 leads away, 1.2 seconds now clear of the Arrows driver Mycin from Poland. Behind him is his teammate Bax, and he's Bax behind him by half a second. Oh, it's weak. It's weak, isn't it? It's very weak. 9/10 back is Ozcan. Been the fastest man all day. He's had so many fastest laps. He could sell them on eBay. And that is Myson. He's made a mistake. And Myson was dicing with death. And he finds himself way down the order. It's almost like he wanted to go and see his teammate back there in 8th place. He's now in 9th behind his teammate. And Supermoy follows up his fastest lap of a 1:54.5 with a crash. And he is now way down the order. In 10th position. Which is where we saw him after the first sprint race. So bookending the two good races with two not so good races. Red 92 still leading the way. 1.1 seconds clear of Bax. He was up there with his teammate. He's now all alone. His teammate decided that he didn't like the black bit of the racetrack. He wanted the green and the sandy bit, and ended up crashing and dropping down the order. So now he's got no one to help him defend. Ozcan making the charge on him, 1.1 seconds. Ozcan back in 3rd. Myson going for the early pit stop. I think it was Myson going. No, sorry, it's Pastina, the other Italian driver, into the pits. I'm Carr, who's got the single greatest name for a racing driver, for the ES team, is 3/10 up from his teammate Matthew. That's not very racing drivery. They are running in 4th and 5th place at the moment, with Ang Zen now starting to make that charge. We didn't see the sprint race drivers doing super well in the previous feature race, but this time out, Ozcan in 3rd, his teammate Ang Zen in 6th. Better improvement this time. Fuel situation. Of course, Filippo, let's go through it. So, everyone's going to pit at the end of this lap anyway for me. But in terms of who's got to put the least amount on, Bax is in a good position. He's still not in the red. Ozcan has got so much red. Well, say so much red. It's a lot of red on the tyres and not very much red on the tank because he's got hardly anything left. I'm Car is red. Matthew is red. Ang Zen is red and almost empty. Chloe Michael, very red, almost empty. Myson, almost empty. Supermoy, he's got no fuel at all. Loads on board for Pastina, who's decided to go for a long final run on the hard compound tyres and is probably over-fueled by about 2 to 3 laps, even if he pushes. Who's got to put the least amount on? So, Bax has got to put less on than Red and Ozcan. In fact, Bax and Matthew are in the best position for the least amount of fuel to put on board. So it's going to be a straight 5-lap race to the end. Everyone bar Pastina pitting. Supermoy will eventually come round and into the pits, but he is some way behind. Who gets out first? So it's bravery. Who feels they can use the least amount of fuel to the end of the race? That's what we're talking about. We can see there who's in the better positions. Matthew and Bax in the better position. Red not too bad with 4% fuel. But Ozcan's going to have to put more on. So is I'm Car. So is Ang Zen. Gary Michael's going to have to put loads on, as is Myson. And of course Supermoy with zero fuel. Very slow, and here comes our first driver, and it is Red 92. And the two drivers we said were in the best position are the two that come out first. Red 92 maintains the lead of this race, 7/10 up from Matthew, jumps a few places. That just goes to show what my good friend Stormfly was saying earlier about the refuel rate being so important here. Absolutely makes all the difference. And I know, we had a good performance as a team in this competition yesterday, but overall we cost ourselves a lot of time with that fuel situation. We're just burning too much fuel through the first and second stint and giving ourselves too much to do at the end. And so here it goes. So Red 92 and Matthew absolutely spot on with their strategy. 8/10 up is Red 92. Can Matthew do 2 better than the last feature race? because he nicked himself. He got himself into that top 3 last time. Can he get himself into the lead of this race? Potentially. Certainly looking good for it so far. Ozcan proving that he's not just a sprint race wonder. He can do the business in the feature race too. He's running in 3rd place, 1.1 second back from those front 2 at the moment, but significant pressure from behind him from backs. In terms of who's got what on board, I can tell you now that both Red and Matthew very similar. Ozcan very similar. Bax makes the move on Ozcan, and that is a good move. And not only because it was just a good move in general, but because he's got a little bit more fuel on board than Ozcan and can push that little bit harder, that little bit longer towards the end of this race. I'm Car. I'm not Car. I'm a man that talks about cars, but he's Car. He's just under half a tank. Got enough to run to the end, but just be a little bit careful with it towards the end. Ang Zen, he's fueled, I think, perfectly to be able to push to the end here. The French driver running in 6th, 6/10 behind I'm Car, and behind him the Italian driver of Pastina Calda. 3.9 seconds back for the new to GTFusion DC racing team. He's 1.9 clear of Chloe Michael, who was your pole sitter and went flying off into the realm of the shadows. Found himself last, but now running on the hard compound tyres to the end of this race. He pit early to repair some damage, but he's under some pressure from his teammate Mycin, and Mycin is going to make that move up the inside, and through he goes. Mycin not dicing with death this time. He's up into 8th place. And then 14 seconds back, Supermoy, who's having an absolutely torrid time. He had a really bad first sprint race. He's having not a great second race here. He's currently the fastest man on the track, though, ironically, with a 1:54.5. But he had a crashy lap straight after that, and then gone into the pits. And he's still quite far behind, but he's just put in purple sector, so he is going quickly. But I don't think he's going to be able to close that 13-second gap to any significant end. Red 92, Matthew and Bax now just racing to the line. They've pulled out 2-second gap over Ozcan between them. Just 6.5 or 8 tenths separate those 3 as they go to complete lap 12 and start lap 13 of this race. This is the GTFusion round 1 Group B race here at Suzuka. Ozcan just running outside that top 3 at the moment. We are in the Honda NSX GT500 from 2008, and it's from 2008 because that's when GTFusion started, and it's to celebrate 15 years of the GTFusion World Team Championships. 15 years ago, I wasn't that old, but I certainly wasn't sim racing. I certainly wasn't playing many online games either. How times have changed significantly since then. Ang Zen, I mean, look at the difference in graphics as well. 1.5 seconds behind his teammate Ozcan. Much better performance from the Borderless Esports drivers who outperformed everybody in the sprint races. So much better performance from them this time out in the feature race, running 4th and 5th. Good solid finish from them as Ang Zen puts in the fastest purple sector he can muster. Supermoy still chucking in fastest laps back there. 1:53.8 for him. Let's have a full rundown from the back actually. There is Supermoy. He's cut that gap to Chloe Michael down to 10.3 seconds as the Belgian driver. Then we've got Mycin and Chloe Michael, 2 ATR drivers, the Aris team drivers. Not doing quite as well as they were early doors. These 2 were the early front runners, and now after a couple of errors find themselves back in 8th and 9th place, separated by just 1.1 seconds. Mycin 12.5 seconds off the race leader. 2.4 up the road is Pastina Calda, the Italian driver for the DC racing team. He's 5.5 seconds behind I'm Car. His teammate up in the top 3, of course. EES driver is 8 tenths behind Ang Zen, the French driver, who in the last feature race Sat in the pits and didn't really see it out to the end because it wasn't going very well for him. 9/10 of a second to Ozcan, his teammate, the Turkish driver, just outside that top three by 1.8 seconds as we start the penultimate lap here. And this is the final, or this is the second to last lap of the final race of round one of GTFusion. And then we have to wait ages now for information of what happens next. We will go over how the future looks for GTFusion. We'll find a calendar and bring it out for you and show you just how that looks going forward, shall we? We'll do that in a minute. Bax is 6/10 up from Matthew. And look how close he is to Red 92. Does he make the move on Red 92 here on the penultimate lap? They are side by side. Bax getting up into the lead. The brilliant racing from them two as Bax takes the lead of this race. And that's him ahead of Red. So Matthew drops back to third. Red 92 is behind Bax. Bax absolutely on a charge. He was on a charge at this stage last time. He's on a charge now, and he's taken the lead as they head into 130R for the second to last time this weekend. What absolute fundamentally fantastic racing from all of these drivers. Bax leads from Red 92 from Matthew 07. Ozcan from ANZ, his teammates. I'm Car in 6th. 7th is Pastina. Mycin in 8th for ATR with his teammate Clary Michael behind him in 9th. And then at the rear of the pack is Superboy, who's putting in some absolutely phenomenal quick laps to try and close that gap on Clary Michael. But here we are, lap 15, the final lap of the race. And it is the Arrows driver, Bax from Poland, who leads the way, half a second up from the Italian Red 92 from the One Up Academy. He is 7/10 clear of EES Matthew, our glorious host today, been a very, very good lobby host actually, who is running in third. Ozcan, despite being super quick, just can't close on those front three, despite his best efforts, of course. Just cannot close that gap. But it's going to look like it's going to be these three. Do we have a twist in the tail on the final lap, in the final couple of sectors, as they head up towards what is probably the last real opportunity for overtake, which will be the long run down to 130R. Bax holding his own out there in first. 7/10 clear of Red 92, and we head under the Panasonic sign down towards 130R for the final time. This is the last lap of the last race of the last group of GTFusion round one, and we will have our winners and runners all decided. Through into the Casio Triangle for the last time comes Bax. He's going to take the win unless something goes horribly wrong in this last corner. He rounds that final corner for the Arrows team and crosses the line to take the win over Red 92. Matthew coming in third and Zen in fourth. What happened to his teammate? I'm Car in fifth. Ozcan, I think he ran out of fuel. Ozcan underfueled, ran out of fuel, finished in sixth. Mycin in seventh. Pastina in eighth. Clary Michael in ninth. And Superboy will come home in 10th. But Bax, the applause is all for you, my friend. Soak it up. There we go. We are done. And breathe, people. Breathe. So, what can we say? That has been absolutely phenomenal racing. ATR have been really dominant today throughout. Although, to be fair, in the sprint races, it has all been about borderless esports. But, I mean, overall, you know, Clary Michael winning in the previous previous feature race, and then of course Bax winning in that one. No, absolutely phenomenal, brilliant all round from all the drivers, and so that's it. We're done. GTFusion is done for another month, and what can we say? thank you to everyone that was involved in that. We will be ending soon. Just really to say, it's been, I got involved with GTFusion last year in their 14th season, and it was absolutely phenomenal being involved with them from that. And I'm loving moving forward into season 15 here in 2023, and looking forward to 5 more brilliant races. Next up, we don't know. The combo race and track will be announced on April the 10th, which is about 3 weeks from now. Well, we're 26th today. Yeah, about 3 weeks from now, we will have the new combo and track announced. The registration last day will be the 22nd of April, and the races will be on the 28th, 29th, and 30th of April. So looking forward to that one coming up. Results out on the 29th, as you would expect, and then we will know where everyone finished. But no, absolutely fabulous racing all round. Thank you so much for joining me for this brilliant race. Next up on Black Flag Racing TV is tomorrow from 8 o'clock is the Black Flag Gauntlets randomised races. 3 20-minute races back to back, all completely randomised. You don't know what they are until the room settings are done. All that's left for me to say is enjoy what is left of your Sunday evening. I've been Urban Pirate. This has been Black Flag Racing TV with GTFusion, and it's been emotional.